Hello, hello, okay. Tell me when I'm on camera. Okay, okay. Good morning. Good morning in America, and good evening if it's in Asia. Yeah. So today I will be giving the transmission on the liberation upon hearing. Pardo Turtle in Tibetan is called Pardo Turtle. I received this teaching from previous Khenpo Thupten Rinpoche, a very, very great Nyingma Khenpo, who used to live in the mountains. He has built a retreat center, which is basically not like built up. The students came and they live around him in the mountains, so they have a little shack, basically. And during that time, when I live in a cave, so it's not like a build-up of some kind of buildings, modern building, but it was each student come and they have some wooden, simple, like one room. So all practitioner, Khen Rinpoche was not only a great scholar, but he was, whole life he was a practitioner. So I was very fortunate to receive this from him. And this is a Vajrayana teaching, tantric teaching. Tantric teaching is the swift path showing the essence directly. So only someone who has tremendous fortune from previous life would connect to a teaching which is so direct. Our minds are ready for that, to hear it, to practice it, and to have devotion to that. And the word devotion, a lot of time in modern times, people have some kind of skepticism of that. And of course, it's good to have skepticism. It's part of the general emphasis given on the Buddhist teaching too. For example, Buddha said, don't take it because I said so. Check it and analyze. And then, if you think it's right, then you can take it. So that's the general teaching of Buddhism. But then, when a person reaches tantric level, what it meant is you are considered to have graduated. You are considered to be graduated on different lower level yanas, so that you can reach to the highest Vajrayana tantric level. That your mind is ready for that. Your mind is ready to hear. Your mind is have the devotion to that. So in that case, in that terms, what devotion means is your mind is connected. Like when you meet a friend, you become friend, and the friendship deepens, and there's a trust, and there's something beautiful happens out of the relationship. Same as that beautiful thing, what's happening, is beautiful thing happening within yourself. That when you have devotion to the Dharma, actually on a really essential level, is you have finally connected to yourself. That you saw the beautiful nature of your mind, what is called Buddha nature. And then when you have the devotion to that, and you all know that what it meant is devotion in the non-dual state, to the awareness, wisdom awareness. They're able to see the wisdom awareness, to have that utter openness and utter awakening. Then finally you can have the trust to yourself. That's what really the ultimate meaning of devotion. And so therefore, out of the three kinds of devotion, first is called Tangwetepa, Tibetan word. Then second is Döpetepa. Then third is Yichepetepa. Tangwetepa means, that depends very much like on the environment. We create the environment, like for example, sitting practice. In order to do sitting practice, there's zafutan and the whole meditation room set up, so people get inspired to do that. So I think one can say it's more like the devotion of inspiration. That it inspire you to sit and practice, and the support you receive. And then the secondly is called Döpetepa. Döpetepa is that you want that quality, that you want the quality of Four Noble Truths to achieve in your mind. You want the quality of the Bodhisattva yana to achieve in your mind. That you get attracted to the Bodhisattva teachings, that you feel that this is how my life should be, not a neurotic, egoistic, filled with afflictive emotion that which brings suffering. You recognize that, and then you want the other side of qualities, which is the Bodhisattva yana quality, the six paramita, the four immeasurable, and so forth. Then you can look into the tantric level, Mahayoga teaching qualities, Anuyoga teaching qualities, and then Mahamudra qualities, and Dzogchen qualities, that you want to achieve that in your mind. And you could say that is the second level of devotion, that aspiring to achieve that is called the devotion to aspiring to achieve that. Thirdly is called Yichepetepa. To have Yichepa means to get fully confidence, the devotion of, I have total confidence. For example, when we say to a friend or a person that you know, that, oh, I have total confidence in you. Same thing, finally, that total confidence can only achieve if you know yourself. You cannot have that confidence if you don't know the nature of the mind. That's the ultimate devotion. So it's not like on a theistic level of teaching where the devotion is based on an external entity. Here you need to, if I use the word, perhaps it's right in English, the internal entity, not the external entity, that there is something objectively out. But subjectively you realize the awakening state of your mind, the enlightened nature. That is called Yi Chepa. Now I fully have confidence, not in something outside, confidence in myself. In other words, that is the profound, not in the confidence in our afflictive emotion, but confidence where there's an absence of afflictive emotion, where the luminosity awareness, which speaks about particularly in the Bardo Total teaching. So therefore, this practice goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and finally it really comes to the subjective awareness, knowing the nature of subjective awareness. That's what Buddhism ultimately leads being to that state. So when we talk about devotion, the devotion has very profound meaning. It's basically trust finally in yourself. Then that, once you achieve that awakened mind, then that trust that you have in yourself is unbreakable. That nothing can create obstacle to that. Once become awakened in the enlightened mind, having that fully confidence in your awakened mind, the primordial awareness, the Buddha nature, then you have total trust, total trust. So that's what it meant. So Vajrayana teaching is basically on that total trust level. And yes, right now why we don't have that is because of our own obscurations. The obscurations mean not knowing yourself. That's what obscuration means. Obscuration, the obscuration is not an objective obscuration. Obscuration is a subjective obscuration. That you are confused, you are stuck, you are, still have your ignorance. Then as long as you have ignorance, you have grasping to phenomena. And then from that comes the self-cherishing, and comes all the afflictive emotion, and comes the endless suffering, endless suffering. You think of all beings, whoever you see outside, people around you, and yourself, look into your mind. Ceaseless suffering that we are going through. It's scary when we look at that. There's the vicious cycle of samsara. It's not just cyclic existence, but a vicious cyclic existence. It's like in the midst of fire, there's no coolness. And in the midst of garbage, there's no perfume. When our minds are afflicted with afflictive emotions, there is no peace. It's like a fire raging all the time. It's scary. Think about all beings. And yet we all like to live in fool's kind of paradise. We pray that, a magic happens suddenly, while we still have our afflictive emotion, engaging into that day and night. And never really looking into our own mind, totally got lost in the habitual nature of the duality. Suffering will never cease. So we need to reflect on the four outer ngondros. That's why in all the tradition, whether it's Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Geluk, the four schools of Tibetan Buddhism, as well as general Buddhism, Theravadan tradition, Mahayana tradition, general tradition of Buddhism. And then if you look within the Tibetan tradition, is very much focused to the Vajrayana tradition. There's a practice called Ngondro, in all four traditions. In all of them is emphasized to look first, before you start looking within, first start thinking what's going on around. That's the first step, isn't it? For example, if you want to go to a new place, when you go to a new place, you want to check that place, whether that place is safe, whether that place, especially today, like in a pandemic situation, we try to go to a restaurant, we keep a distance, or we try to go to a store, we keep a distance, and we see where there's a crowded, we think there's more possibility of being contracted by sickness. Or like you move to a new home, you want to check the local environment. Is it a safe zone? If there is thing you could be robbed or you could be killed. Is a violent zone, war zone. So this is what first we all look. Same thing in the Dharma. The four outer reflection, the precious human rebirth, the condition that we have precious human rebirth. Then second, even we have that, this is not going to last. It's impermanence. It's every moment to moment is changing. We're getting closer to death. We are not getting longer life. Our lives are getting shorter day by day, moment by moment, in fact. Every minute, every second, we get closer. And nobody knows when the death will strike. So we need to reflect on that, meditate on impermanence. And then meditate on cause and effect. Nothing happens without a cause. All our experience of our past, present, future depends on our deeds, our karma. What we make, it reflects back on us, cause and effect. And meditate on that. And then finally meditate on the nature of samsara. That is left to the last one also. It's very, very, when you look at the sequence of the Dharma practice, the sequence of the Dharma has a very profound meaning. First it says precious human rebirth. It didn't say nature of samsara. First focus to that, what you have right now. Because if you don't have a precious human rebirth, you won't even able to comprehend what's the nature of samsara. Because even bugs have a body, but they cannot comprehend what's the nature of samsara. So each condition, step by step. Then finally, when you come to the nature of samsara, that it's like a fire burning around all the time. In the midst of fire, there is no coolness. In the midst of afflictive emotion, there is no peace. And we need to recognize that is the cause of our being in samsara and cause of our suffering. Is the being caught up in the afflictive cycle, vicious cycle. So therefore, once we realize that, then we do the inner practice, the Ngondro practice, then the refuge, bodhicitta, all the things step by step. So same thing, the practice of Dharma in general, in 4 sentences, Buddha said, Dikpa chiyang michashi, gewa pusum soparche, rangi simni yongsudu, dini sangi tembai. Do not create any unvirtue, means any harm directly or indirectly. Gewa pusum soparche, create virtue which can benefit others and benefit yourself. Rangi simni yongsu dul, subdue your own mind. That is really very profound meaning. Because we all have, as long as there is ego, we have all 84,000 afflictive emotion. And some people have, more aggression, some people have more attachment, some people have more jealousy, some people have more envy. There is bound to happen the neurosis, and that neurosis attracts many other things. It's like having a diabetic problem. Once you have a diabetic problem, it brings eye sickness, brain sickness, limb sickness, all kinds of sickness. It basically is a silence killer. So basically, afflictive emotion is a silence killer on a subtle level, and it is a killer in general. It's a killer which only brings harm and suffering to us, nothing else. That we all want to avoid, that we all want to be free from that. So that's what the Dharma is about. Dharma is not a trip that Buddhism wants more Buddhist population in this world so that we can feel great, our numbers are bigger. That's not the point. The point is every individual, their liberation, their happiness. That is the only meaning of the Dharma. And that's the aim of the Dharma, that's the meaning of the Dharma, and that is the aspiration that people can achieve that, and it can be achieved, that you can see that possibility is right there in your mind. So, earlier when I gave the teaching on the Bardo, liberation upon hearing, there's like Bardo of dying, the Bardo of Dharmata, the Bardo of future becoming. It explained the first important thing is Bardo of living. In the Bardo of living, how we have to, live. As I just mentioned earlier, when the entire Dharma is condensed, those 4 sentences that do not create any unvirtue, create virtue. That's mean creating virtue from the from the Hinayana level to Mahayana level to Vajrayana level to Mahamudra level to Dzogchen level, all the way 9 yanas. That's what meant, create virtue. It just doesn't simply mean that be a nice person. Of course, nice person is also included in that. But then all the way to the ultimate level. So that's how we have to live a life. Then we can realize the true nature of our mind is enlightened, Buddha mind. Only through its realizing awakened Buddha mind, we can be free of samsara. We can never be free of samsara by looking outside, but we can be free of samsara by looking within. That is important. I just thought to explain that a little bit before I start giving the transmission. And then the Vajrayana teaching in particular is so special because, as I said, only people who have tremendous merit would hear this, would be naturally open and receiving, happy to receive, happy to hear, happy to practice. That's the merit that which allows you to go through that. You see, yes, we know all beings have Buddha nature, but then it's like obscured, like the sun has been obscured by the cloud. Same thing, our defilements, the 2 kinds of defilement, gross and subtle defilement, obscure our basic sanity, basic goodness, the enlightened mind, and then instead of our intelligence going in the right way, the intelligence going in the wrong way, which is called confusion. You see, when you go through confusion, there has to be mind. Otherwise, without a mind, how can it be confusion? There is no confusion in a stone or water because it's inanimate. It have no thoughts. Only something which have thoughts can go through confusion. Only something which have thoughts can have, delusion, can have obscuration. And also it can have removal of this obscuration, removal of the delusion, and can experience the enlightened awareness. It can only happen to a mind awareness. So therefore, since the nature of the mind is Buddha nature in all of us, that depends on the person's merit, the condition of merit, that what naturally make you a kinder, warmer, compassionate, and more wisdom-wise. That's what, the more the obscuration is removed, the more the profound qualities begin to arise in your awareness, in your mind. The more you get caught up in your afflictive emotion, the more you get caught up in delusion. Instead of feeling warm and compassionate, you have the opposite experience of that, egoistic, selfishness, and naturally afflictive emotion is part of that game. It comes naturally there. Therefore, accumulate merit. While in this life we have a precious human rebirth, but it's not going to last. Actually, it's really moving fast. We have very limited time. During this limited time, whatever we have, that we should make a wholesome, positive life, not engage in negative. And if you did engage in negative, stop that from today, and you can change yourself from today. There is a quotation in one of the sutras. It says, "Kangsa kangchi, unche pami gyurpa chine patang gyurpa deyani, dawa tintel tabur namzite gao suting deche namchara shins." There's a quotation in the Dharma. What it meant, Kangsa kangchi, unche pami gyurpa, a person or individual who has been frivolous earlier, means they have not a wholesome life. Their life is filled with, afflictive emotions, self-cherishing, ego. Of course, they're all like one big package. So one who has been frivolous before, an individual who has been frivolous before, and then later who become more aware of that. And they become, what's the opposite word of frivolous in English? Huh? Fruitful. No, not fruitful. Chine pak. The Tibetan word is pak met and pak yot. Pak met is frivolous. Pak yot means now you realize you're frivolous is not good thing happening in your life, and you want to change that, focus more inside into bodhisattva qualities, for example. And then you change your life. So a individual who has been frivolous earlier and later change their habits and life and become mindful, sort of, or more aware, it's like a moon which is free of clouds. Once the moon is free of clouds, then we see the beautiful nature of the moon is light and coolness. Same thing, then you begin to feel the coolness of bodhicitta mind from the mist of fire of the afflictive emotion. You begin to see that beauty within you, and all beings can experience around you. Likewise, at the same time, the example is used to Ungli Mala. Ungli Mala was the person who killed 999 persons. And then he wants to kill 1,000. The last one, he wants to kill his mother. But then he met the Buddha, and then totally he saw his wrongdoing, and he totally, saw that from the frivolous lifestyle of killing and harming, and finally he turned like 360 degrees and then totally abandoned that wrongdoing, and then become a student of Buddha, and he become Arahat. So likewise, we can become like that. Those of us who have been caught in samsara, who have been completely merged in samsara, realizing the vicious qualities of samsara. It's like a fire burning. You know, it says how a maiden's hair, when it's caught, she will not stop. She will instantly try to put it, off, the fire off. Likewise, when you see a afflictive motion happening in your mind, you just want to deal with that right away. You don't want to push that aside and be careless with that. That's how a good Dhamma practitioner should be. Therefore, mindfulness is required all the time, whether in sitting practice or whether in post-meditation state. So we need to infuse our mind with bodhisattva qualities, not with self-cherishing and ego mind, which is a destructive mind. Very, very destructive mind. Not just, you need to pay more, look deeper into that. What's going on in the world. So anyway, so therefore important thing is make our life a Dharma life. Whatever your practice are, whether it's your practice meditation, focus on meditation, whether your practice is your Mahayoga practice, Anuyoga practice, or Theravadan teaching practice, or Mahayana Bodhisattva teaching, practice that every day, and you will reach definitely, you will achieve liberation from samsara. And that is really the message of the Dharma, and that's what the message and the aspiration of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And actually, that is the aspiration of yourself, to be happy. Yeah, to be happy, to achieve liberation. That's what it is. So now, as far as the teaching of the liberation upon hearing is concerned, it's extraordinary that, Padmasambhava is called the second Buddha. Because Buddha comes in the world, he lightens the darkness of the world. And the Padmasambhava came in this world to remove the darkness, our ignorance, our afflictive emotion, our suffering, to remove that. That's the only reason and purpose of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They have no other reasons, to come in this world to do anything else. But that is really the main, purpose and the aspiration, infinite compassion, and they bring infinite wisdom. And out of that infinite wisdom, this is part of that liberation upon hearing. That how possibilities are there that during this lifetime practice, and then somehow you miss opportunity during this lifetime, the possibility to achieve enlightenment in Bardo, in the intermediate state between birth and death. That the first stage possibility, how you can achieve, and explain about these lights of the sixth realm, And the light, basically what it meant is your awareness. Your awareness we can compare that to example of light. Like if there is no mind, then there is no light. If there is no mind, there is no awareness. If there is no mind, there is no expression. The awareness and expression is there because you have a mind. It's naturally, any mind is there, has awareness. You can't have a mind which doesn't have awareness. Even in the most rudimentary, lowest level of, one of the lower realms, when we look like two bugs, when they fight each other, there's awareness. They see, the other one is, that you feel threatened or territorial or whatever, that you need to conquer and kill that. and the other one feel needs to defend, and in order to defend his territory, that it has to attack and kill you, or remove you, or chase you, whatever. There is awareness. So those are obscure awareness, obscured energy. So now we are talking, when the process of death is happening, there's awareness happening, but the awareness of possibility where there is a clear light awareness can happen. And by merging into the clear light, we can find liberation from the 6 streams of samsara. So that's really extraordinary, that how Padmasambhava, this teaching was brought by Karma Lingpa, is a Dharma teaching, and of course concealed by Padmasambhava. Lady Chhoje, around that time, she did so much concealment of teaching of Padmasambhava. And then later, Padmasambhava's, each one of a different time zone, different centuries, so different time, that this Terton will come, and that Terton will come, and all the, until today, Padmasambhava has prophesied each and every one of those great Tertons who will come and who has come, and Padmasambhava's infinite wisdom presented to us, that we can really have so much opportunity. That's what I mean, infinite wisdom and infinite compassion, for us, that even within one lifetime, if you want, in order to prolong this precious human rebirth, the practice of long life, the sustenance, and then removal of different external obstacle, internal obstacle, then inner practice, how you can nurture your awareness and achieve the enlightened mind. And then not only in this life, but even after when you're dead, in the bardo state, that you go first day experience, second day experience, third day experience. Each day is different Buddhas manifest, different energies manifest, different lights come. And then the teaching explained that you should not get attracted to this kind of dimmer light, but get attracted to the bright light of this. And 5 Buddha families experience. It's just amazing. And now today, the Liberation Upon Hearing is translated by Gurme Dorje, which is very good. And then you can read those things. And then there are many parts in that. So I'm going to give the transmission today on this. And so one thing, we will have breaks. But you should be there continuously, because if you go, let's say, to another room, and if you miss one page, then you're missing a big part. So you must be there while I give the transmission, and I will have break for tea and bathroom. But while I'm giving the transmission, you just need to hear that, and you can read some books, but it's important that you need to hear that. Don't read comic books or anything. Read some Dharma books if you have to read, or meditate, and just listen. But you can, it's not like you're hearing a teaching, because I will be reading the transmission. It's important that you need to hear this without unbreakable. Okay? So, now first, Medrzado Samaya, Manopalaya, Medrzado Denoba, Tiradido Mebawa, Sudokaye Mebawa, Subokaye Mebawa, Anurdam. Sarvasidi Meprayata, Sarva Karmasujame, Chitam Shiriyam, Kuruhung, Ha 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 Hu, Bhagavan, Sarvatatak. Mezarmame Munja Mizrbawa Ma, Samaya Satu, Om Medrzado Samaya, Manopal. Medrzado Denoba, Tiradido Mebawa, Sudokaye Mebawa, Subokaye Mebawa, Anurado Mebawa, Sarvasidi Mep. Sarva Karmasujame, Chitam Shiriyam, Kuruhung, Ha 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 Hu, Bhagavan, Sarvatatagada, Mezarmame Munja. Mahasamaya Satu, Om Medrzado Samaya, Manopalaya, Medrzado. Tiradido Mebawa, Sudokaye Mebawa, Subokaye Mebawa, Anurado Mep. Sarvasiddhim me prayata sarva karma sujame citam shiriyam kuruhum ha 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 hu bhagavan. Sarva tathagata benjarmami munja benjarbhava ma samaya satu om benjar satu samaya manuparaya benjar satu. Tira tira me bhava sudo khaye me bhava subo khaye me bhava anuruddha me bhava sarvasiddhim me prayata sarva karma sujame citam shiriyam kuruhum ha. Bhagavan Sarvatata Benjarmami Munja Benjarbhava Ma Samaya Satu Om Benjar Satu Samaya Manupalaya Benjar Satu Tenupa Tiradidu Sudo Khaye Me Baba Subo Khaye Me Baba Anuruddha Me Baba Sarvasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karmas Siddham Shiriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Hu Bhagavan Sarvatata Benjarmami Munja Ma Samaya Satu Padrin Savela Rinpoche, Dagi Chhoje Pemedejula, Kadinchi Begune, Jesungte, Kosun Tuki Ngudu, Saltu Se. Sabche Shito Comparandole, Kosun Lamenejogi Solte, Tusuma Paranjo so. Namda Shin Chapter Parantu, Kimi Judichugu Lamala, the Nimuku so de Maritimuma Parantune, Ranju Ishimachu. Lundu Chugu Jenagata Ramanjo, Sada Ishi, the Jimporanto, Maga, the Jinlungu Lamala, the Nimuku so adep, the Jeshimba Parantune, Randi Ishi, the Jenandut. Lungu Jelan Ramanju, Kimena de Pime Paranto, Nimi, Ransha, Tugu Lamala, the Nimuku so ade, Lotoshitama Parantune, Rana Ishi, Randi Ransetu. Tugu Jela Randu Ramanju, Yonda Se Randi Parantu, Chome, Diji Kusum Lamala, the Nimuku so adep, Tatizunzi Mabarandune, Ranju Ishi Kusundu. The Jinguzu Jela Ramanju, Ransem, Tatichuga Matobe, the Mumuba, Kurakamba Ye, Dungi, Simjidinam Ningje, Tenam Tamjishuku to Barsho, Ri. The Jelungu Matobe, the Jasepe Kurakamba Ye, the law, Simjidinam Ningje, Tenam Tamjilungu to Barsho, Ransishatu. Matobe, no simni, no Kurakamba ye, Loto, Simjidinam Ningje, Tenam Tamjitugu to Barsho, Ransim Kusun Yeme Matobe, Terezi, Numushi Jibanam, Singe Mato, Tugu Ningje, Tenam Tamjikusum to Parasho. The Jugumba Jitu Gumbarandole, Chungi for the cell de Veturishimushi, so Chugu Namata Yobame, no Juzugo, Pema Judula, Pema Juni. Tugu Duego, Kusunamanam La Chas, and Nejuna Partuaveta. Turishimo de la Tusum de Mundungu Jijetan Sumino, the Mungu de Jen, Giovanni, Ticket and Batuma, Yamsulang, Umboram, taking about the Madrina Chigi Patola, Puat Bano, Yamsulang, Teni, Najudin and Yapatu, the Madrina Chingi Patola, Turishimo de la Nendinchao, Telata, Munajibichiwa, Tapanam, Chitisibi Menon, Tarataparchao, Tena. Ngiparchivet no some say poor Tebaron Tabarjao Tena, poor Tebna. To the law Migoso, Gedepo Madena to the Royce Rata, la six, what Lobarcho, Roman Sidiki, Melsar, Duxera della, Dibito Jolanam Jacune, Dudunye, Niembra, mixing Lobarcho, two, Nidu, Dang, Semla, Savizao. So Muketan, Mengayin, Dundu, Mirung, Tam Rabo, Royuna. Chhoje Samsu, Lamam, Chiro, some Tabatoba, Yi, Timbeto, Chela, so be never. Chu Marexum de Tela, to do with the Lobarjo Tela, to do Shibani, Kujosum, Chuba Gasham, Bull, Majunami Pete, Conjasham La Yigi Bottom, Batula, Tennessee, and Jejusimba. Namla Rata to be Monam D, Nensum, do Tene Portugico, Monam down, but the Tontogi Monam down, but it's a signum. Yandan Chete, Navarta, Tena, Tudushin Bodilla, Len, Dunam, Sum Capatan Jera Lobani, Chigi Portola, Ose, Moto Patan, Chingi Portola, Moto, Selte, Moto Solte Chimo Dabatan, Sipa Porto, Algo, Gatabla, Tempatan, Sumo, Tangbo, Chigi Portola, Ose, Moto Panedi, Terekanza, Kovas and Yango, Macho Batango, to your completion one of them, so Kiwinyam team, and you will read them, Jela, the Biji was a word to the Porto member. Yerge Santella, Chugukiwa Mepertopo, W. Ni Rangi, Tiju Sevelama, Zumna, ni cho yino te mazumna chero tamzi chikpa am te yang mazumna chugyu chikbe she nyimba am te nam kaya mazumna yike da tala sik sabar de sheba chik ke sar mang tu lo ko te lame ngo tbe tön tene tema tu du shi o se ngo tu to ba teso me tu dabi tu ni chu chene lung yi shi ge du ter temba da shiba o se tu te tu la ge chero tene lung lo de sa yun du tre be par to na wa lam gi chro sa yun du mo shro par ter da bu yun ni nang u ni ke par de sen chik sa yun sam chi gi no w ni u chela ke betune powa tep na rap ma de na de ge do ge ge ri ge bu chi ge mo kyo tani lam se be to la pa pa do be kyo rang u chima ke do kyo la war to dang bo se je je wa ngar la me ngo de be ten de chi u che ba na che tum je nam ka ta ra tong jin je ba sel dong te me be ri kwa chi ri me ba jin ba che ge chane o ngo de tu zu kyo rang ge rang o shi ba ki la de nga na jo che nge kyang de tu zu ngo tu de she chu ma che be kong ne na wa len mo du she la yi le ja su chu ko de ne chu che be ta ba du na lo ye ba sa la pham ne sing ge du tang che la cha ba la sir wa yin de ni lo za ni pa ra chu che ne ta du ne no de ne lung de de ne chi lo de sang bu ge lam du te nge so ngo de ge de du zu da bo de du zu ba do dang bo chi ni se she kyang ja chu gu gong ba chin chi ma lo ba chik ro wa kung gi kyu la cha de de yang chi u che no ma chi ge ba de lung a wa du de tin be ba ri de te ra phel pa nim ge she pa gyal zero yu ne nge ba me to te sang en tang cha lung ge rim ba yin de nyam nen tum ba re ye ba dang shi ne tem bo ye ba dang sa sang we rik la ni yu ring never young or day long, or to an ending, get on board, because the choose ceremony, but the girl sell the put on, sang a berilani, you put re, sang a berilani, you put re, secular re, you name, never young, la senza yun re, never you do you pelcher, na charge in the shiri, gala sung bay, pelcher ni charge in the shiri, never say, go to dean. La niden chao w ne rangi tumna rangi kong ne pabatang rangi minu na ne lama am loma am cheto lo sim de chik sar jate te ta ne sa chula de ta da o she ta nam rimbatar sel tabla ta nam ribajin zola ke batri sim ke te dar papa chao ke ke ri ke bu she ba am lama yin tung bala tu ke ma yin ber sel she ni tu ke chung shu chero tang she nam la ming ne pela de ke to ke ri ke bu ta ni chiwa de ong du ke kyorang sim ke di tra tu je ji ke ma da ni chiwi tu la pap na duke tare chiwa la tene chamba da inje chanchu simge gomba baji ge tu ke de nam ka da yin be simche tamji ge du zo be sangi to par chao nim to lo ke ba tang ke bar tu ta re simje tamji ge du de chiwa o se chu ge guru ngo shi par che de de nga ne che ge jim chu ge ngo to ne simje tamji ge de ja o de da ma to kyang par to la par to ngo shi par che la par to sun ju shi ge jim ku ngo du je ne kang la kan du ge na we nam kai 타다니 베심제 탐지게 돈도 자오니 베심게 돈바다 마데 우리 케랑을 간라고 베 담가데 냠네 템파라 저지제 나버라 추데라 치기서버시 기직 그냥 인수 미죽버라 냠네 셀데 데네 추체 서바다 산이 로니 타도 네라 치기디게 셀다포 라맘 랑레 치위신 바인나 중발라 케랑 라다다 지오제 철바 찬니 요도 ngoshebre kishik nyamli ke thodu juba shuje ju shen tamjela dige ngo to ke ribu chigmo kyu nyun chigang kyu la tata shungi da be ose chan yudo ngoshebre kishik ke ribu kyurang ge de da shiri ngo singi wade ngo bodang sima ka do ji ngo ri yang ma ju dong sang dong sang de bar dong sang e bar du ba de ga chung gu du zamo yin no kyurang ge shiri gi ngo dong ba chal je do ma so wa rang gi e shiri ma ka bar sele singe wale wa de ga sang ge gu du zamo yin rang ge ri pe ngo bu chi de ma ju pe ngo dong ba dang rang ge shiri wele se wara du ba de ni yer me je ba du ba de ga sang ge chu ge gu yin no rang ge ri pa se do yer me höge 봉보죽 바디 디라 계시메 바상게 미기르면 데가 예노 데 ngo시
she che chogo rangi shiriki ngu sangi wadi sangi sungu shena rangi rikpa la rang tawate sangi ki gomba la jopa yino she lensu mam dungi pala data sik se warjogo teki te kichigi tangpo la mengo tiba tara te la nipa rang rigi jimbo se dungu sumba rangi shene chugu durime pa gyudu chobar nge so te sel tangpo la ngo chu yang kal te osi tangpo te la ngo masin to na yang osi nipa she chaba char te yang tu ni chiu che ne sen chik sayun lak sam so ne ongo len le sangin gi tsa ye yun kang rung chik ki lung shor ne go kang rung chik ne tu shiba sel lam ki ongo te yang Sayin sayu ser yang tsa sangin tang nyam ne yume tang tu no te se nam shiki chiri tamba tang shiwa yin nam ma shiwa yin nyam tu ngu ma shi nge tu dewa yang ngar jin toni yung ngu gu kyang tu so legi tunan rapo yang ma shir shinji jikta kyang ma lepe par teri yang dam nga dab te tela yang zorimpa tang kirimpa nyi so zorimpa yina ni ming ne len sompe la kungi yose ngo tu te kyar ne da po kirimin in kyorang ke la kang yin ba te gom ko tang tu ne ngon to lo te ke ri ki pu kyorang ke yi tam de gom shi ma yin shi dum ba ta bu yi la dum ba ta pu yi tam la对这个那了上面把去的都不公式，对这件都没公式，这少的不就他们把人呢，就对这不公式，这我这都，这他让我这边把都我没什么那么讲，先把这什么都这样准备都是那么我这个工地chung啊，工地chung那把都让给sel没得别，那么我们这周给把sel的过所，因为工地有讲这个人呢，呢这不出呢，这边没什么热了，样的把的新的过所，我那么给工地有讲，都把说当所谓tam sik nyam ne ngen sung tu drwe re la di chine kyang go so parto tampo temna rap ma temna parto nipa la sel da pe rik se ne toba yi no de yang parto nipa mata pe gilu je chawa shiam ma shi ngo mi she pe sel lamba chi gong tu tere damba temna shungi ma pu tene legi khaju tu me to pene nyeme yu ki mumba chumba shin to lam ki ose ki legi nu ba chumna toba yin de yang parto nyi ba she chawa ne yi ki lu su lam ki charwa yin de shepa ngar jin tu yu tu ko ru de tu su tamga di temna tön tu de ta tung legi tuna ma she kang tu yang gyu tu po de tar shi ose ngo ma ne yang parto Nipe se ngo de tolo teri yang matuna te ne parto sumba yang se chingi parto charte parto sumba legi tuna che wa shar dong we de du su chingi parto ngo de chimula ba kel che de top dang pe yin shin de che o de sana ngi tu ngu ke menga dun se kel che ko shu masa chabala so be rang ke khong nam tong yang khong nam ke rang ma tong khong nam ke rang la pe ba te kyang rang ke khong nam la pe ba ma te 배 닝미가 체대도 대세 더 ser숨게 나와셔는 직자 응숨기 오게는 왜 디두 수충이 버도 디두 중이 버도 뭐저 치무셀 응으르지 못해 버지데 세대기 민네 배워라다 다징 식세월 되게도 셰도 계계르게 뭐 많이 봐도 바다바 녀제 바다 넘버 2 인데로지 끼니게 버도다 미남 버도다 띵이지 something 버도다 치게 버도다 중이 버도다 루준시베 버도데 주고 저기 뭐 켜라 버도 숨 중데 치게 버도다 중이 버도다 시바 버도다 숨 치러발래 가상편지 치게 버도라 중이 요새 샤르양 교육이 người mà dân bé thì chăm người trung hoa yên nó thế này kêu là trung nghiệp bắt đầu sĩ bảo bắt đầu như chúng ta đã cái ngô chấp nằm kêu rằng mấy bảo người giúp bật cái gì cái cái bộ thế này chịu thế là phải yên nó chỉ tin đến này rồi thì kêu chịu bữa này mấy cũng là chúng ta sẽ đi là chấp bắt đầu xem bài này mà chỉ chấp bắt đầu xem bài chỉ cái đồ bằng này mấy 그런 코를 캠페레 메요 마차시 마진지 군초 숨테 버케시 게게 이렇게 보 중요보다 나와 라 직자 지들 샤네 중에 그런 식디 마치 버키라 식도 일을 대진도 성제 대고 주변에 유도 게마들 중요보다 샤도들 군랑간다 직랑 방제네 가능 장셔 직과 무시자 버드는 수인 버셔버자 Tunjengala tu bitu dire rana jiru sola jingmija teki ngangne teki ngangne langlang jo la sikdun yila tenjin tu songji te jikta ke nawa chitrashiyang rana tu ngepara ngo chupe ne yube majechi keke rikipu kyuki ludan semdewe tu su chungi tape nawa chala dangba Sella Sirva Rangin Tavse la Nyam Ngava Soke Tana Migyujin Mere Richardo Tela Majik Mataje Mangansik Dene Kurangi Chungi Ki Rangdang in Bengo Shiperkichi Uke Nani Chungi Giranda Data la Dirichava Duktung Tujil Dirwa Sam to Tiriri Hongo Deyang Kurangi Chungi Rangda in Betela Majik Mataje Mangansik Kala Pajaki Lu Yiki Lu Chavachi Yuki Duce Shiraki Lu Name Petau Zirsum Kanchu in Kuranipa Mionte Kula chigume to kurang ki rana dongo shibara shibe gyang ki choko parto yimbe shibar ki ji ki rikibu tata rana dongo mashina mi to gom do chidar che gyang tata damba de matena ki ji so deng so zirgita ta so dambe ne di mashina ta zir sum ngo mashina kur kyamu ki rikibu ja chidan shi padu gyal ne do gyal sambada ngala chi juwa nyambe na wajung de ki parto ngo shibar ki ji de so kurbe rulo ne na watam ju tam guru charo namgatam je kado tingar charo de tu zu ucho tigle derbe jingam ne chumnen de number na zu kudo karpa singe tila ju ba chana kulo sibge namba yum nam ke yim chuk ma ta jel jen rana chado number che bu bu ne zu da ba tinga chugi yinge ishe kado tinga sela da ba tala se wa che number na ze yab yum ge to kan kyoran ge dun de mi ge mizu ba sam de sune ongo de da yum da lai karpo tame che gyang du sune ongo de tu zu kyel 랭인기 왕게 땡가 잡다 데바 추기 인기 시대를 교주받는다 바기는 되신 사이에 그러고 담에들 교가 외두시 내용게 대해서는 교 땡가 셀러서 왔다 당라 짝 치와 추기 시대라 망앙시 맞아버 대신시 배우지 추기 인기 시시 저와 이노 텔라테바다 메바 둥둥기 지 좀는데 넘버너즈 툭지 오스리 이노 겹스 주우니 메바게라 수와토 업직 되네 좀는데 넘버너즈 야비움기 그 버도 창라 수와롱 이노 넘버너즈기 툭지 오스리 이노 라이요 그 버타메텔라가 버 마지직 마차식 마진직 대규기 때문에 버스베 박차 기 수웨 람미노 텔라 착나니 그 사이니즈 캠데 르두도 캠네 코르 터베 람가베 바지 임베 텔라 믹 마다버어 팅게 텔라 믹 마다버어 팅가 짝당 첸 텔라 메바 기라 좀는데 넘버는 제라 좀 바다부터라 몰람 되게 다게 레무기라 소바톱시 게마 티무토베 쿠라kim베시 추잉 27회 람라 좀데 넘버는제 람나도 임축 인슈마이 겸네교 바다지베 창레데스 연다서 베승게서르교 셰무고토베 모놈데게 도다베 넘버는제기 투거르 자유도 팀네 우조 또보고 비신거 소는주 저베고르 상기버교로 용 갈때 ngote 예시당 당 디디위킹게 당zel라다네 몰람 탐네양 추나 샤니바도 지심베 어서다 니웨 링이니 바 수와라 니웨 링이니 수와라 옹데 양 ngotabane sidegi mingni pala dege do ke rege bo maying pargyon shani pala jungwa chutum je number da be kor besha ro de tu shajongom parga bishingom ne chumne de doji simba mekyo pa kodo tenga chana doji zenga banam pa lambo ji dena juba yum sangi chema da shel je ne rang char ro chaju simba se ni potang chama mitini la sema la sema tang pushpe ma ni ke ko ne ja dang yo gelo ne sangi ku tu du char ne ong sugi bumbo ne so da ba yo kor ba melo da bu ishikalla serwa sela dang ba je doji simba yumki 토가니 교란게 두는 메게 미제 바섬도 주네옹 대단님도 니베 도가 장미 지경도 이시게 당 식마르 주네옹 대 되서 교시당 왕게 여거 자당 데마텔 교시 바당 잡아기네 되신 니베 도가 장미텔 교가 위도 시키네 온게 대선에 교거보 깔라 서바 살다 모텔 마직 par 이시송오 시버케지 텔라타바탄 당 메바 둥둥기지 좀는데 도지스메 투지 오즈리 이노 캡서 주니 메마바게라 수와도 제테네 좀는데 도지스메 임크랑 바르토 창나수와 라용와 이노 도지스메 투지 오즈르기 체규 임베마바케지 니베 두가 장메 텔라가 버마지지 대규게 시당자보 sabe diripki suwe lam yeno tela chana ne yewe ne sutung te dungel semi suwe dam tu su te tarpe tu mijunge teni tarpe lam gape baje imbe mig madabar che dampo che tela macha shi ma shi che yo kapo sella sirba tere mapa kira chumnen de tuji simba la dumba tabo te la molan de ke tu top che ke ma ke 마시다 잡고 외임에서 메롱이 있어요. 남나 주문도 지심 발람나도 임주 생기지면 겹는 겨 받도 집에 통에 돼도 연도서 생기서로기 제목을 잡으면 되게 도다 배 주문데 지심배 토가라저도 팀네 sha종은 버거비 신고서 논조즈베고로 상기브리기로 양대들 뭐저 양게던 드립집에 간살라 투지 요저게 적규라 직대 저배 양자 숨발라 주문데 rin지 준데 그 하소다 미 lamni suwala hongde yang mo chobani sidegi mingne beladege to ke rige bo mai brinyo che ja sumbala la jungwe ja sumbala jungwa satum je number tabe serbo charo te du so lojo paldan de bijingam serbo na chumnende rinji junde kudo serbo chana no bo rumbo chena ma ta joge den la jobo yumcho mama ke tan shel jane rangla char ngo chinju semba numge ni bo dang kudo sambo ni la semala semada de be ma ni ke ko ni ja dan yo ke ne sanji ku tu du chane ngo sore bu yin so da ba serbo nyamba ni ge shi sella serwa tile dang tile ge gen ba sella da ma mi ge ta mi zo ba chik rinji junde 예비음기 토간에 결혼게도 눈이게 되가라 미게 따미서 벗음도 중에 옹오 대다 냠도 미응음보 담에지 경이 시게 당 심마리 결혼게 이거 중에 옹오 대도지 교육가게 그 왕기 어서 보자당 젠텔라 지타게네 주소 옹기 미응음보 담에텔라 교가와 당 차심기네 옹기 대잖아 교어서 셀라 서버 셀라 당 보텔라 마직바라 이시소 오시브리게지 대응하는 거 잘메게 la la joshi yang nam tela teba de me pa tung tung ki shi kyorong ge rik pe dang dang su ngo shen ni mo ku ma chi mo la matap kyang ku dang wo zere tam che kyorong dang yer me du temne sang gi bri gyo ro rang gi rik pe dang dang su ma she na ni chum nen de rin ji jung de ki tu je wo zere yin no gyapsu chi wo nya be mo ku ki la so wa to je de ne chum nen de rin ji jung de kyo pa de ji pe but jigdala suwa hongwa yino rinje jungde dene jumnende rinje jungde kyo pardo jigdala suwa hongwa yino rinje jungde ki tukje uzargi chakyu yimbar mepa ki chi mi yu ngoba tame tela gabar maji chi kyo ngaje taba sabe pa cha ki suwe lam yino tela chana ni kyo mi ne su tung ni kega na ji dunga nyamsu nyungshin kure damne tun be tu mi jungde tarpe lam kape parchi imbe tela mig metawar ngagel pungshik bhaksha pungshik mashashik mashinchik hoyasirpa sela sewa tela mepa kishik chumnende rinji junde la dumba tseji du tela mulam degi du topshi kema ngaje raba kurwa kembesi nyemi ishi sewe olamla chumde rinji junde lamna dong yumsho mama kayi gyabne kyor poto jibwe chana dedu so yanda zuba sangi suru kyo te ke myoku drape mulam tabe chumnende rinji junde ke tukara jayu du temne tojo polan dame jinga so no jo zube kura sangi pari kyo ro te tar ngo tebe wangpo chi tar she yang ruwa teso me to yang te tar le mando ngo rigyan dikpo che la sobadan tsi nyabalo sobe kalchi ki rila lala ta tungyang ngo mitube ri gongte duja dang dikdip ki kyo ne dawe la jikde trebe sha jibala chumnen de nawa tayi ke la so dang duja dang sena le trube ita la lamni ke suwa la hongte yang ngo tabane sidegi meni bala de to ke tiki po mai par nyon chi sha shipala jungwa me na par ta be mar ba charo de tu zum che dewa chingi chinga mar po ne chumnen de na wa te ku do mo ba chana pe ma na ba ma ji de na ju ba imjo ko kar mo ta shal je na ran cha do ngo che ju sim ba che re sin je mi ni la sema girti ma tang aloka ni ke ko ne jayu ke long ne sanji ke ku tu du chane ngo du ji bung bu ne zo da ba ma ba so to bi malas serba tikle tang tiktengi gyamba sella tang pa taw serba chik nawa thai yabim ki tokane kyorang gi ninga ningi tekara migne mise basam to sune ngo tera majik chik te dang nyam du yita ke serbo tame ba chik gyang ishi ke dang shigmar kyola chidong we tera gawar majiji chashi pongchi te tu kyo de cha tra po wang ge mo de que de ja ta bu ge mo bu ta dang chen de la que ta ba ge ne de song xin yi da ge e shi bu zhang mei de le que ga wa dang chak sim ge ne yong ki de se ne que mo bu ta se wa se la dang ba de la ma ji bu yi shi su ngo shi bu ge shi de to to ri ba char mi ge ngo to la sho ji yer me tu tim ne sang gi bu ge ro de tar ma shi na jum ne de na wa de yi ge tu ji o zi ri no kyab zu ji ni me mu ge ki la so top chi de ni chum nen de na wa de ki tu ji uzir ki cha gi no me ba ki chi ma chu shi zhe kyang kyu rang dang de me bu ong o ma ji shi yi da ge se ba zhang me de la ma cha pa ma chi chi de ni de ja ra bu sa be yi da ki su we lam yi no de la cha na kyu yi da ge ne su lung ne zhe gong ge dung e su la me bu nyu de ta lam ka be pa ji yin be de la ma cha pa 착심 봉식 마진지 뭐 셀서 버들면 기라 좀는데 너한테 이분을 좀 봐세주도 뭐는 되게도 도없이 개만도 저도 그거 캠베세 수도 이제 세배올음나 좀는데 너한테 이름도 임초 그거모이 이 겸는교 버도 집에서나도 잘도수 연다서 생기서를 되게 무거도 보서와도베 되게 무거도 뭐남다베 좀는데 너한테 여봐 메기 투가르 자유도 팀네 누주 대화 증기 지금서 누주도 베고로 상기 버리고 되니 미툴 미시도 대양 대더도 모지경 셈제 박차던 로유링외 답게 바자 메보버 차도던 랭잉고 자월라 응앙자 게데 투지 우즈르게 책이 미제버 상업에 버도 캠데 양 대세 줍는데 되유 주벨라서 투지 우즈르던 제데 수월을 주는 용 버차도레 주벨라마 인기 흘람기 경 수월로 대양 대세양 모저번에 세대기 미니 벌어되게도 계계르기 보 마인 버뉴지 장아발아 중화 롱틈제 넘버도 배 중국 처도 장아발아 중화 롱틈제 넘버도 배 중국 차로 대도지 장초 레럽색 배 신감 정군에 줍는데 나와 줍는데 생기 되는도 봐 소코로 구도 정고 차나도 지게라나 봐 남카 딩상상기 틀라주 봐 юм담시 드마다시 샬전에 교랑라 철동고 심바 차나도 지다 봐 남브라스 바니 라 셈마 긴데 마다 니르테 마니기 코네 자다 여기 롱네 생기기 구 주도 철동고 두시기 부분에서도 봐 정고 자와 주베이 시장라 처와 살라담바탈 냠가와 틸레당 틸딩기 때바지 되유드바 예빔기 토가니 교랑기 닝기 태가라 믹 미저바즘도 수그네용고 대라 마직버리 교랑 게릭베 정세인베 차장 예릭메베 땅용 잘메 지명원도 조지 대당님들 하마인기 뭐 차도 기 규레 주바 장메 지경 이시기 당 센주도 교라셔도 옹웨텔라 차당메베 땅용 공시 로메바이나 텔라 거버마치 대두주 차도저버스 원기 의정고다 짝라서버테 라 큐신네 저저 원기 하마인기 뭐 장메텔 큐 가와당 착심기네 원기 대스네 그 정고 짝라 서와 셀라당 바텔라 마직 버리 이시중고 시버기지 대두들과 젊이게 응앙도르르쇼지 좀는데 되 주베 투지 우즈리노 겹즈치오 냠베 무그게라서 와도 없지 되네 좀는데 되 주베 투지 자기 우즈르와 자와주비 시제와 예노 메바케시 마주 시제경 큐랑 당 절미도 모텔라 마지시 사마인게 머버자메텔라 차브라 마지지 데니 큐게 차도자 버스벨레게 수벨람 예노 텔라 차나닌 큐 사마인게 네슬롱네 탑저게 동에 절라메 버뇽데 탈람거 베버지 이메텔라 마저 바레 심바 뽕지 마진직 그 정고 뭐지 정고 셀라 서버들 메바게지 좀는데 되도 예빔라 좀 세지도 되는 뭐는 되게도 더지 개마 차도 저 거로 캠베스 저도 위치 세베 올람라 좀는데 되도 벨람라도 임주도 좀 매gem네 겨 버도 집에 전화도 저인도 저 베선 예서르교 대들은 거 저 뭐는데 좀는데 되도 예빔게 도거라 저우데 팀네 저절에 랍조베 신경소 론조조베 거로 상기 버교로 대들을 뭐모도 저벨레 시레 투 대들을 좀 망도 저베 레투 치더제용 찌렁을 뭐진경 찌렁을 뭐신데 간우 찌렁을 또 메톨 미시도 양 대들을 내모도 거리 봐자 체라 baja senchela do yuring tanada ishi ngardi me bewonge ngori ge baja ngembe chilati de tukji uzirgi cheki mazimbar he dan sela tadange ne mala khorne thane sha tu bala ringa yebim khorne je ba tu chila chane ongwe de se rutuki he tukkyang tu chila sharne 홍대 ngotebani sedegi mini bala dege to keke rigi bu kyo kasang penche ringa susu namasharne ngodigin kyo pachaga wongi dela tadange be da pinje to deriluba yino kyo ge gongdo ringi ishe ge rangdang de nam rangdang ngo shi ringa susu kula jayu de timni lonjobe korosangi ge gyu yimbala rangdang ngo shi be derikam ba yino dene mayin par nyonji ringa 용서 그나마당 이시지줄 그나마시 저 그 수월롱 ngōshibir kishi ke rikibu jungwashi nabartabe kato shi chardu ngō deduzu ucho tilidebe shingamne sange nabar nasa yibim gōngtara chardu ngō charcho ngōmbargabe shingamne sange duji simba yibim kodan jiba chardu ngō tocho badandabe shingamne sange rinji jinde yibim kodan jiba chardu ngō nuje bemasebe dewa nuje bemasebe dewa chingi shingamne sange nawata yibim kodan jiba chardu ngō charcholera zobe shingam 네 생기된 데 바임 콘지 바 자당 허길니 켜라다 샤로 게게 리기부 링아 윤대 남기 지름도 고와 투 넘버 기와당 시지시보당 때링기보당 두지기보당 고마체기마당 샤바마다 자로마다 티부마다 사이 투바 옹보 게진다 사모인기도 바 타상르다 미도 바 샤갸승게다 조선기도 바 싱게럽다 예다기도 바 카버마당 예외도 바 추기 야보당 줌nen데 투바 조경 샤로 군도 정보당 군도 정모당 생기 탐지기 찜에 군상 예비미 경철도 누구라서 지주선이 인기 능내 튼내 결혼의 철도왜 결혼게 답을 나와대 철와인배 무엇이버 계시 계리기 부신금 대다 경신진의 여번에 마인데 결혼기 인기 초시 의당아이노 인기 능내다다 철도니 결혼의 철와이노 꾸드다 경신진의 오마마인데 결혼기 적배랑셀레 이는 흉기도 바인배 대들 이물 무엇이버 계시 예계리기 부양 꾸드다 그냥 미치와 미중와 차니 봐 인간가도 죽수당 덴티 랑랑기 책야 당지데 꾸드다 경강에 송게 켜봐 나센 나르제 라응에 숨부 무기보다제 봐 엽기 차즈메 리기 심바당 юм기 차즈메 리기 심바당 기고 탐지 찍라 줘봐 저도 원외 대교계 이담게 하이면 것이 버기지 계계리기 부 랭아 예민되다게 도가네 이시시주르게 의스를 찾았던 바 님의 의스를 바틱 두었다 메르르케랑 기니그라 차르 또 온데 대양 당부 넘버 능지기 도가네 추기 인기시 깔라 셀와 달라 냠가 의스르게 넘부직 교랑기 인가당 델말 쳐도 의스르게 넘부 대등도 틱레 거포 의스르당데 멜롱 카부 바잠바 신도 세와 달라 세와 대양 정신 틱레 앙에 게바 데이터 땅 의미바 틱레 땅 틱딩기 게바 직 쳐도 옹오 두지스베 투간에 멜롱도 이시 틱라스베는 부등도 틱레 옹보 어당된 바데 ödanden ba pena yu purba ka bu bazamba tikle tang tiding nge ba shardo wongo rinchin jungden gi tugane nyamba nyigi she sela sebe na buteng to tikle serbo serge purba ka bu bu tikle tang tiding nge ba chado wongo nawa the gi tugane so to be she marla sebe na buteng to tikle marpo ose dande ba pena juru purba ka bu bu ishi gi dang dang de ba shindu sela serba 대양 틀랭강이 gemba 대타 당 의메 버틱레당 티딩이 gem바셔도 대놈이 교랑이 인가 당한테 쳐도 게게르게 보 대놈이 교랑이 르베 랑셀레 쳐봐 인데 신신의 오 마인베 대놈라 차버리야 마제지 따버리야 마제지 미토뱅강도 르라 쇼지 대응하나 꾸당 오즈레 탐지 교랑의 때문에 상기브르기로 게게르게 보 저와드비시기 정군이 교랑이 르베 이시기 랑셀라 마조베 미낭고 게르기보 대남기 시시저게 나와시에데 도지스바 콘시게 람제 저와이노 대세 큐기가 라메 ngote 담가데 버기지 큐기 ngote 텐네 나르셔베 나와 대남라 이체네 마당 부처바다 부함 나르디베 미치 통화 점기 무시 도도셔바다부 Ronan Dungo Shibe, Chinginapa the Belam Girwame, each in a Gungi, a thing is in Kate, Ripa Tunduchibukula Timne, Lonjos Bekura Sangi, the Chirimidoko, Keki, Rigibu, Yishe, Tang Yam to Mata, Trube, no to Kianchitu Chardo Hong Day, Kangjana Hai, Batameta, Samayu, Murbatameta, Mi, Batameta, the Jangotameta, Itaki, Batameta, Nyelbe, Tuga Tameta, Tabai Shiki, Shibim. Shimar Charto Hong, De Sana Kyo Kanayang Zimbatan Chabama Mache Paramikba, maybe on a Lajoji, Kyotaba Ishiki, Lata Shimataru to Kurva, Kurva, Chana, Doa to Lu Lande, Kura Dungi Gas Simone, Tarbetu, maybe O Gallo, Ki, Rigibu, Kyo Lamedam, Meba Chiginani, Kongi. Gudang Taba Ishiki, la Jixing Dana, Mataku, la Chasu, Theatre, Majepra, Taba Ishiki, Talasavate, Namnamabak, Mukuki Shik. Jimnanderinga, the worship Tuji, Ishiki, was Renki, Dala, Tuji Zimbala, Chumbarduki, Caps, Chewing, Bemabaki, La Tubati Tuki, La Machawa, Majem, but a Sangi Ringa, Yabum, La Dumasage, Monum Digitu, Topje, Kima, Dunga Trapaku, Ishijiro, Sabelamna, Jumne, Gava, Ring, Elamado, Yingi, Yimching, Yamnico, Mata, Ricto, Lamta, the Zopata, Jibetan, Delne. Yang tabashin chong aru kyalto so tetra to monam tape rana to ngoshin isume batim sang yaw ding mugo tape rango shene to wato bo tamchi kyang monam tape tamche kyang monam na partape tu rituki ngal ki go ka de ishi jijur ki te to ne to jisim be khonsing ki lamla sangi bar gyoro yang tetra to shiwala sebar ngo te be she chewa chik ngo te de thulam mangdu ju ngo tame yang tama miyu tu chuki pacha ine maybe Dixindang. Tamyam la soba gaji, leg trugi, leg truly, ngodi metabar, Marla came to Hongway, Jadumbala, Tapakachugi, Rizinga Hasonam, Sualong, with the to the new, but Timu, lay to be to do, Lamkang Sualong, the to the ranking, or Japanese, Sidig Minipella de Gato, Keke, Rigapu, my Brunchi, Jadumbala, Pajakin Sudabe, Tower, Chadong, the to so Kachugi Shingam, so Rizinga Hasso, Sualong, the Jadang would Tibe, so number maybe Rizin, Lanameba, Bema, Karki Wonchu, Jejawa, Kudo, Yumkano Mamma Mukulatewa, Tikun Terazin, Tatangi, Chekia, Namkala, Zebache Chado, Kirkutation, Salanebezin, Jejawa, Kudo, Karjing, Zumbe, down Demba. Yumkano Kula teaching, Tigu, down to Raki, Karazing, Tatangi, Chekia, Namkala, Zebache Chado, Kirkutel, and Selam, Jejawa, Kudo Sejing, Zebe, Pejan, Demba, Yumkanoma, Simukulatewa, Tigu, down to Raki. Garzejing Tatangi, Chagia, Namkala, Zebachi Chadong, Kilkurte, Nubne, Chigachimbuzi, Shejawa, Kudo Margins Bedan, Neva, Yum Kanoma, Monmukula, Tiguna, Turaki, Garzejing, Tatangi, Chagia, Namkala, Zebachi Chadong, Kikulte, and looking to be in Shejawa, Kudoja, Jiangxing Shell, Trozum down them by Yum Kanoma, Janku. Kula Tiwa Tigudan Tota Zimba Karzejing Tatangi Chegia Namkala Zibaji Chado Sixteen Tenum Ki Roto Konome Soto Pato Me Patang Tutu Yegi Konomadan Rijikando Ne Sumgi Kando Ne Chu Kando Yun Shusaji Kando Namtang Pautang Pamutang Kingdang Choyu Sumanda Jibat begin to Suni Nadang Gangdong Tang Tongadang Shimbaki Yalsendang Mepaki Lateta Mepaki Pendang Misurki Tubadang Romichita Podume Bedang Chete Jitingi Kamatamji Kimba Shik Yum Gulgul to Rumuja Tamji Go Gabazimki Dirba Ongo Hanaso Cheche Tamji Jenam Ki Sumalongo Tamyam Namla Chebachedo Keke Rikibo Pachakin Suda Palenchi Kibi Shiki Katonga the Bas Tsun Kudilma Tabu Cha Shik Ba Mermerwatch Cham Champa Chik Saladamba Tala Yamga Wachik Rizing so Ngai Tokani Kurangit Te Ningar Mik Mizopasam to Sunio, Te Tang, Te Danyam to Janko, Tome Chikan Ishigo, Danyam to Shanio, Te to Circle, Pachatubewangi, Katonga Dentella, Tashing to be to do. Tometella, Charles, Hongway, Taste and Kyo Kato. nga den trao dang chen de la ma ji shi ma trao chi yi she so rang ngo she par ge chi yo ge nang tham che chu ge rang da du dong tu chi la dru sam yo to da ta la dir che wa u da so wa trao ngang na ta bu dang che ne jo te la ma ji shi ma tu ji kyo rang ge rang nang Ripe rangdu rangu shibir kishi tudu jungu tami tela macha shi ma jinchi tela cha nani kyo timu tudu nisu kete linku kulchu ke dunge thale deba nyongde tharpe tuyu mi jung we tela macha shi nga kato nga den sella sirwa tela beba kichi chumnen de rizin gulupu ki ilhaso la dumba se jidu tuyo la rizin pao kanto dan chibar nam ki da taba kachu ki nesu jumba suwa li jumbar dupe kierang kienam Kenam ken daadabu simche so masaba da ja penche tu tuusum gidashi ringe laso desam chigi tuje songyang mazimbadi daadawa asamare daani rizinga laso kenam ki dimen chinikyang madangchik tuje chakyu sungshi tapakacho gishindu tata konane tangdu sol nyambe dumba sejidu tuyola mulam Digado top cheke ma rizilazanum ki konsu so zewa chimba lamna tandu so bacha tabe kura kimba se linki ishi sebe lamla pao rizi soke lamna tong yumcho kanto soke gyabni kyor parto jibe tanda dalni kyang tapa kachu shingam tiri kyor che mugwe tabe munam tabe rizilazanum ki tukara jayo to timne tapa kachu ki ne su kiwara teso me to gawe giwe shinye rik tamche dine ngo chude tuwa shatago dir pacha ngayang tuwa rangi so ten chini chike parto sido ngo tuwa da chungi parto ngo tuwa tuwa shimu telo. So there is the peaceful deity's appearance, and now we will go to the dreadful deity's appearance. And so here we will have 5 minutes break, and then we will meet again. Okay. Chhoje parto chasu tempa shukso. Tani chhoje parto chasu tempra cha te de yang konto shibe parto la chang rinpa tun yu te. Te la rinpa shindu ngo chibe chik la ma chui kyang chik la chui de choba tupa ne pato mepa chiyo ngo. Te tara choba mang tu chung yang sim che ne chang ma linga ne sen che dirim ni lun tu pacha ne yun ring. Mari choko te la sepa me jing dipa me pe. Te tara shib tu ngo te kyang ma chobra tur tu kyang ba yang sen che te. Te yang shibe la so dang rizin control la so ke suwa long we o to chadong chuwe la so barwa nga chu sa ye kong ke shibe la so ne gyu de char dong we kong dang mira de di ni chuwe par do yin pe jik cha ngang sum ke wang do do de ngo chaba yang ka ru do wo rikpa rang wang mi to para gelwa kuryu dong de chung se Chikpe zina chubala te te chi chirje na ngangcha chik sumge na washa ne rikwa yinglong me te rikpa tse ju de nimne yobe chiro te kapsu ni te tepe dampa dangma te na tepa gyaso tepe yo kyang tere pemba me te dulwa zinbe kimbo dang tse nyi ki dampa chimbo nam kyang kap dir ne ma choy te kura kyamba yo to kewo tamil pa namni achang yang che te ngangcha chik sumla Chebe ngen song tu ngen song ki yang la lung ne du nge lo sanga la chebe ne jeba tame yang tama chi yin na chao dong ge la so tong ma ta ngar di ge mi dang cheba de bu yi dam la yin ber ngo she yi che de ni su me ber de ne sang gi ber gyo ro yi de yang me yu de chao dong gi gu di nam ngon do gom ba dang che de che ba dang ta na gu shik risu chibadang burdu tibala soba tongwa ko ne kyang dir kuzu shirwa tang ngo shin chwa tope ne kyang te tara yeno yang mi tu dulwa zinbe kimbodang singi dunbe che la chi tar sunji shipe che la chi tar ke kyang chongbe sen na dongdang ring se tang jala sobe ta mi jinde te ni sube tu su sanga lor ma shungwa tang sanga la shikur tabadang sanga ke laso nam gyu mi be wang ke parto shen ngo ma she te ngar thong ma nyungwa chik lu pur du thong ne te dar song ne te la dang sem ke be te ken che ne ngen song du jowe te chir duwa zima dang singi pa chi dar sang yang nang na sanga ke nyam ne me na dung tang sheri ma dang ring se dang jawe la su be ta mi ju ba singi ni te tar ro sanga ba tame yang tama jigi na hang chal du Cholam Zingpa dang, Mizimba dang, Mike Pa dang, Sul dang, Midbe Cholam, Miziba Chitra do Gyang Te Sanga Chu Nyamsu. Lang Motum Na Yang Te La, Loda Miki Badang, Tizume Badang, Sanga La Meba Cheba Kone Gyang Kap de Tobatoba In Te. Miyul to Cholam Maze Gyang Shive Sena, Dung dang Ring Se dang, Kuzudan Jala Supeta. Nari chi kyang jumur yu de te na sanga de chinap shindu chewe shiro sanga ki naljurpa ding yin che kezo gombo dang yingbo de pala sopa depala sopa nyamso langpa namni chunyi pardo di samdu marikam migo de uk shimake do rizin dang pa u kontrola sopa taba kacho du nyepara Den de yu de ta so nam ka ya ta ba dang ja dang u de ki wa dang me do ge char dang pu gi de dang nam ka la ro mo ja ke dang dung dang ring se dang ku zo so ba ju ma ne de ta yin no de chir do du wa zin ba dang tön ba dang tam si nya be ngak ba dang ki o tamil ba tam che la ne tu tu chi mu de me be tap me do zo shin ba dang sha gya chim bo la so ba gom be gom chin da ni chi ge par do se si ni chu gu to par gyur be tu tu de lo mi ku par cha 옹호 대양 측에 벌도 세 응어지나 추구토보 중이 벌도 들으시 저 나와 철비도 수 응어지나 농주주베 구토보 시바벌도 응어지나 추구토바당 타나 내리 투리수 개와 타나 네 투리수 개와 대 추디당 체네 개와 지마 추라 주베레 초유베 대지를 투주지무디 ni magom par sangi be che tabazim ge tobato che so dikpo che sang sanglam la tibe che kichik chigi chira che be che kichik chigi zo sang ge be che zamo yin de di lepe 심쟁에 송도 소매 메세도 대당 딱주니 잡에 실기 멘데라 유타고 바당다웨 라버기시 대들 퇴주 공부되네 다니 초여버드셔서 뭐 드버자데 양세대 게밍네 렌수 뭐네 되게도 계기 리기부 마영버nyun지 큐기 공도 시외 버터셔yang 무슨 베타 동들이 겸고 중앙이노 다니 샤기발라 차동 초여라서 샤도 마영버는 거에서 버기시 계기 리기부 발진 부다 hirukashi jabo kudo mungna usum chaju jabji deba sheye karwa yemarwa mungna to yeba ku yoge pumbobrwa jingu jikbe dangmi to sikpa mema lojin kyukpa chewa sanya to barwa alala tang hahe ke yang do pa shu sheba tang shuge da jimbo pa uta masar ken to chojing barwa nida tang junla tang thokam ki ugen ba chaju yege tamana kholo parvana data tamana reality yungi tamana tepo parvana thong shu tamana benda namba yumbuda kurdeshuri ma kula tewa yepe gul ne kyuchin yumpe dungmar jaltu topa kenda tukchum dawu da dudong derwa zamba doje barbe pusini shige me barbe kyungi tekbe denla kyangum du juba rangi lebe nane rangi ngusum ki tekatar charo tela majik shik matashi manga che rangi ripe kur ngosh perkechi kyorangi itam ki layin pe matashi tela chumne de namba nangse yabyum ngoyin pe majik shi ngo shepadang choba tu nyamo she rakpe itam ting du ngoshi de ngisu mebar timne longcho zobe kura sangi bargiro yang tela nganta kene chobe ngo machuna sha gupala chawtung dorji riki suwa longwe yang ngo chubane sedegi mine peola digido keke riki po chawtung dorji riki chumnende bezara hiruka she chaba kudo tingna she sum chadu shabji deba she ye karwa yu marwa yu tinga chadu ye ki dorji chadu ye ki tangbuna dorji parpana benda tamana data yunge tangbuna tripu parpana benda tamana tongshu yum bezara kurdi shuri mai yapki kula tiwa yepe gulni kyuchi impe dumar jaldo topa rangi lepe shane tune rangla chado ongo tela majik shi matashi mangang shi tela chumnende doji sempa yepi ngo impe matashi meba kishi ngo shiba dang choba tu nyamdo ongo she tabi yi tamtu ngo she na ngo she ni nisu mebar timpe sangi bargiru yang ledip chewa nam tela ngangta gine chebe te matuna yang ja chupala chakdong rinpoche rik suwa la hongwe yang ngo tabane sidegi mine peola digido keke rikipo mayang parnyonchi sha chupa la chawdong rinpoche rik rena hiruka she chaba kudo sena she sum chadu she shi depa she ye karwa yu mara sena rabbarwa chadu yege damana rinpoche parpana katamka tamana peshu namba yunge damana tepu parpana benda tamana tishul namba yum radna kurdi shuri ma yapki kula tewa yepe gulni kyuching yumbe dungmara jaldu toba rangi lepe lone tune rangla chardong ne tela majishi matashi mangache rangi rikpe kur ngoshi birgishi kyo rangi itamke laibe matashi tuna chumnende rinchi junde yem ngoyimbe mebakeshi ngoshi badang choba tunyamdo ngo she taba itamdo ngo she nengis mebatene sangi birgiro yang tedardo ngo de nya bajang be wange nganta gene chiru taba itamdo ngo mashepa shinjer tone ngo matuna yang ja chu chikpar chado bema rike lazo suwalong we yang ngo taba sedegi mingne pera digido keke rike bo sha chu chikpa chado bema riki chumnen de pema hiruka she chaba kudo manna she sum chadu shabji deba she ye karwa yung ngowa umana to barwa chadu yege tamuna pema parpana katamka tamana yukto yunge tamuna tepu parpana benda marki kanwa tamana nge chung namba yum pema kurdi shuri ma yepke kula tewa yepe gune kyujin yumpe dumara chaldu dopa yabyum shajuke ngusumdo rangi lepe ngumne tene tela majik shi mata che tela mangang she tabagum shi rangi rikpe kur ngōshi par kēshi rāngi tam kē hlā yīmbē mara chē tuyō nā shum nēndē nō tē yab yum ngō yīmbē mē pā kēshi ngōshi pa tāng chūpa tuyō yīm tō ngō shē tā pē yī tam kē hlā yīmbar shē nē ngī sū mē par tim nē sāng kī par kī rō yāng tē tā rā ngō tē kiān pā chā ngī bē chī rā tē tē ngāng tā kē nē chū pē yī tam tō ngō ma shē tē ngō ma chū pa yu pe yang sha chu ni pa la chao tong le ge ri ge la so da ki u ri ma dang cha men dang go ma dang ong chu ma nam su wa la ong de ngo ma shi pa ji cha che ru ong we ngo de ba ne yang se de ge ming ne pe la de ge tu ge ge ri ge pu ja chu ni song we tu so cha tong le ge ri ge ju ne de karma hi ru ka je ba ku do jang na she sum cha tu jab ji de ba she ye kar ba yu ma ba u jang na ngampa chadu yege damana rete purvana khatam ka thamana yu to yunge damana tripu purvana benda thamana thongsho nampa yumpema kurti shurima kula tewa yepe yapke gune kyopa yumpe tungmara shaldu topa yabyum shaljor tu ngosum tu rangi lebe changne to ne rangla charo te lama je shi mata che mangang che rangi rikpe kur ngoshi perke che kyo rangi yetam ke hlai be mata che to na chumnen de to yu tu ba ngo yino te ba dam ba ke shi ngoshi ba dan to ba nyam tu ngo she da pe yetam tu ngoshi ne ngisme ba temne sangi perke ro yang teta lame damga ke rangnang rikpe sal tu ngoshi be penna singi sop thoma te bro lo te yang singi sop ditar yingi te ma to na nganta ke te mi chi gi ditar yingi ngot be sangrik de jikpa tawa dawar diriyang chatung ke laso ku chela yela rikpa namge khana nyambara charwe se ngepara ngandra gete ngochu de thema ta to rangna ngam yidam to ngoshine ngar kongdu lame dambe osel matang chi sherwe pu rangchu ge osi ni ma putete rangla rangsha rangchu to ngar diki mi da tabatar to rangje rangse to rangjo lo di ngochu matobna kangsa sambo nam kya de che lo de ko kya mo de ne kiuri ge chomo dang chame ma gonyin na so ba rangi lepe nang ne thene rang la char do ngo yang ngo de ne se de gi min bela de ge to ge ge pu mai bar nyon ji rangi lepe sha ne kiuri rima karmo ye ne jing yuk to to ba yun na benda mar ke kawa to ne rang la charo de la ma ji shi lo ne tu rim sermo da ju gen ba da num ne tamo marbo chusin gyatsen na ba ta jang ne perte na mo do je ta be da marbo kanwa na ba ta sharlo ne pukasi marse yebe gyma zu ne yembe shaldo so ba ta hlunum ne kasma ri jangna yona bendat thagi kanwa zu ne yebe durje tukji ngambe surge shaldo so ba ta nubjan ne senda li sirkya gulu thala gelde yebe sitan namne yembe lu po sawa tang changsha ne mesha ni tingna gulu chelne sawa tang ni ki kyurim mo ge bo yang chawdong yamga la ko ne rangile be ngang ne nang ne to ne chardo ngo tela ma ji shi ke ri ki pu di chirim na yu ge thame ma ge to ne chado ngo shan ne singa mu na singe singo ma la ni thankar no ne kai nang tu roto relpa sikpa tang lone chati mukha marmota go ma la yin ne migdu rusuk su ta jing chewa nyerpa tang numne sila mukha wagochin yepe gyuma zungjing puti thone yepe gyuma zawa tang tha da batang changne shuna mukha tingna jango tang lakpa ni ge roka chene migdu su ta wa tang shanu ne kirta mukha karsere chago chendang jingchen thala ku ne kingru la do to batang hlunum ne kaka mukha mana turche go chen changche jingchen thala kurba tang nubja ne kaka mukha namo charoge dongche yundu benda thone yepe ralti to te lu ning sawa tang changser ne hulu mukha tinka go ukpe go chen yesu dorje toje yundu ralti namsing sha sawa tang yulgi tamen ma gepo yang chadung yabnga la go ne rangi lepe nang ne thone rangla sharongo tela magic shi consider tamje rang rikpe rangse to ngo shibr ke rigi po goma ji ya rangi lepe nang ne thone rang la char to ngo shibr ke rangi lepe shan tagu karmo chakyu ma yumbe benda morbo kang ne topa chik to shar to ngo lone phadong ser mo jakpa zimba numne singdong morbo chakro zimba tang chang ne dudong ma Jamu tripu zimbadang gumaji ya rangi lepe na ne tune rangla chardo ungo yedam ke la yimbe ngo shibur kechi ke rike po hiruka tapo la sumchu chi rimdu unshung ma nishu saje gunye naso danche de suncha naso patone rangi lepe na ne tune rangla chardo ungo tela maji shi kanshir tamche rangna rikpe rangse do ngo shibur kechi dunje ngala tobe tsu de lame damga tribur kechi ke rike po sharne simu muna ya goma lana toba tang sangma marse dulgoma lana pema nampa tang sachin karjang sigoma lana tishul toba tang todu ngombo sengmo todu ngomo semongo lana kolo zimba tang shunu marki shunu marmo teki go lana dungtung zimba tang gechin karmo tumgo ma lana gyuja toba tang sharki naljurma tuk rangi lepe nane tone rangla chardo ngo tela majishi keke riki po lone gawa sermo pawango lana puti toba tang shiwa marmo chusingo lana pumba toba tang dusi marmo dikpe go lana pema toba tang dawa marmo chayigo lana dorje toba na pechunjana wayigo lana yukto toba na simu sena tagigo lana teta toba na loi nejur tu rangi lepe na ne tone rangla chardo ngo tela majik shi keke riki bu numne zawa marjan chagu go lana pechun toba na gawa marmo tayigo lana dorje toba na topje marmo kyungi go lana yukto toba na simu sermo ki go lana dorje puti toba na depa marpo pushu go lanya daju toba na nursung jango shawe go lana pumba zimbadang nubgi naljurma tu rangi lepe na ne tone rangla chardo ngo tela majik shi keke riki bu changne lunglangu monjuge go lana nawa lana pading gerwa tang memo marbu kingi go lana selching zimba na pamu na mo pagi go lana cheja na ba na doje marmo kate go lana shinchung zimba na nashin jangna langi go lana pechun toshin tatung cha tuma dang chula ngumo druge go lana dusha na ba changi najur ma tu rangi lepe na ne tune rangla chardo ngo tela maji chi kekeri kepo gume najur ma chi lepe na ne tune rangla chardo ngo shanne doje pamu kyucho go lana chakyo zimba dang lo ne dorje semu rai go lana shakpa zimba dang numne dorje marmo singi go lana chakro zimba dang changne dorje jangna druge go lana dribu zimba dang naljur go ma shi yang rangi lepe na ne tune rangla chardo ngo tela majik shik ngongchuk ma nishu sage kyan hiruka drapu la rangchungi kuyu tsele shir yang rangshir tsele rangshir yinpe ngo shibir kechi keke rikibu chuku tongpe tsele shiwe laru shirwa yino ngo shibir kechi chuku sewe tsele chuwe laru shirwa yino ngo shibir kechi rangi lepe na ne chatung ngashu sage laso tune shirwe tudire kanshar tambe rangi rikpe dang rangla shirwa shine temata to chatungi ku dang nisu mebar sangya bao keke rikibu tata ngoma shena kyo tenamla sheching trepe lar dungi ki namar do tetra mashena chatung ki latam ji shinje ru thone chatung ki latam ji la ji so ngso trago ngai gyalo ranang dungdu so ne korar kyamu maje matana korar mi kyamu kere ki bu kere ki bu shibatan chubu ku tenam gyang chewani namkhatang nyamba dingbu ne rirap zamba tamayang rang 주게 색바 점중we 대라 마자시 농시 담제여당 꾸루셔로 나와 담제여당 꾸루셔때 랑게 릭베랑당수 ngо시베 여당 꾸니수메 버템네 상겨 부교 통랑 지자게 나와 강정야랑당도 ngо시베게라 마직시 어세랑게 랑당도 ngо시 시버게직 대들 ngо시나다다 랑라 상기발라 테조메도 기지지게 조상 게자와데 뜨다레 중화이노 yila temper kishi ke po rangi tata ngomashi ne tane shiwe ku tamche gombo napu kuru charo chowe ku tamche shinji chugi jabu kuru shane ranang dudu sonne korar kyamo ke po ranang ngomashi na ka dugyu tamche la keshin kalbar chöje kyang sangmi gyawo ranang ngoshen na nechik tang sikjige sang gyawo ranang do ngoshen na shimata do chungye pardo shinji chugi gyapo kurcharo shinji chugi gyapo kurchawa ne namkha dang yampa jengpo ne rirab samgi jigdengi kham kang no yongo deyang yasu machu ne ba mikshil do yo ba tra chiur jingpa supa chewa 게타와 라나 참싱 토바 ям니 겹 쓰게 다로바 레파 동화 굴루테와 되닝도바 데데비 직딩기 감탐체 킹네옹 끼게 리게보 데이터에 나와샤네 중에서 교지보다 잡으러 마치지 교랑 바차 얘기르인 베세바당 또바 중화양 치유메도 너나 교통배랑서 임베시미고 수신지 남겨랑 게릭베 당당레 셔와 임베데 바친도 주바메데 동바니게 동바니라 라미녜도 교랑 게릭베 랑젤레 셔와 마도 교랑 치르도 시와당 초워당 차동당 고니당 저당 신제숙 직직 봐서 무슨 주바메 타셔도 대들 타주니 지크라tum지 랑서드니 니수메 버템네 상기브르교로 대들 고셰나니 이담게 하이노다 Partochana suwa lo jibarduko kyapsu chiwu nyambe pa tungdungzo chi kuncho sum jesu temper kichi kyorangi yi tam kang yibate temper kichi sene kang tempe chik partoro ta parto kyamne yobe rada la gyu chi tukje sunji yi tam rimbo chi shepo la suwa tupchi kyorangi lami sene jo la da partoro kyamne yobe rada jo chik tukje matang ji kila sowa tupje chatung gel haso namla yang mepa kila sowa tupje monam de yang tupje kema pacha tap kuror kembese ngandra jigna mobe lamna chumde shiru soge lamna tung inchu chum soge gyabne gyur parto jigbe changle daldu su yangda zu be sange saru gyu gawe chodan de ne chiburu kyam ranang tongbe su ngin chardu de sange namgi tupje shukchungne ngangta pardo jikpa mijungsho ishisebe nga chardo der mijik meta rango sheparsho shidang chuwe kusuk chado de mijik dengdo pardo ngo shesho lenge wange dunge nyonsana yitam layi dunge sewarsho shungi randa dukdong dersan tamche yikro daro gyurwasho kyame leke jiso rangto de tuji chimpo tala kyabso pacha leke dunge nyonsana wase dewe tunze chawarsho junge kamnam taru me dangshi sanje ringe shingnam tong wara che mugu chakpo dangche pe mo nam tupche jikta tamche yanne par lungur sangi par yurwe kalchi o mayingshi che nen sumam dunge parto jo de tene dikpa chitar che shing lecho chitar ngenayang metul misi to denam chitar che yang ngo ma chö nani pardo sumba sipe pardo kyam go pe di ngo chö o do shi parte no chiru komba chi chung khangla yan chike chikara pare chulpa mangwe tötö di mepe tap me to gomri chewa namni pemrik tene chunye pardo chunye ge lamongo Sumpetusu rikto to ngo chabata nyamnyong yopa namne chike pardo sesherwe top shindu chewe sumpetusu nyamne kecho yang sumpetusu sanga ke lai keso gomba nam ne chunye pardo le shiro nawa sherwe tusu top shindu chewar yote tewe na sumpetusu yang pardo tutu de ke pardo yila chewar changwar chepa ne shindu kel chewo te 장월 자오 lokpar 자오 kunchupar 자오 술진도 yila 자오 tusum도 마차버 lokpar 자오 sikdun la yila shindu sevar 자오 shema geyingangni 중앙 디 sikdun yila majepar 자오 디니 tutu shimu je jawa yimpe tsamme pa nga chepe mi nalamdu tuna ngepar jobar gyuro. You know, it says that it's very important you need to read this again and again and again so that it's really clear in your mind. It's almost like if there's like 100 people, you know, 100 enemies attacking you, but still you will not forget the words and meaning of this. So therefore you need to practice this, read this again and again so it's very clear in your mind, the liberation upon hearing. Dini tutuchimu jejawa yimbe tsame pa nga jibe mi nalam du tuna yang ngepar trobar gyolo. Because, you know, the essential points are mentioned in the liberation upon hearing, so that how you can find the liberation at particular time and moment during the Bardo experience. So therefore it's very important to get you know, accustomed, how do you use the word accustomed, or again and again, so it's very clear in your mind. Yeah. So even, you know, even the one who creates 5 heinous crime by liberation upon hearing will recognize the nature and find liberation. So therefore it's a very, very profound teaching, this one. Dejir tumshimbo nangdu lopar chawo pevar chawo tata lenju surve te madona parto rikpa gujur ki saldu dove. Again, you know, want to repeat that because while you are living, you know, not dead, you are still living when you read this. But when you die, you don't have this gross element body. So your minds get like 9 times more clear during the Bardo time. So you will remember everything once you hear during this lifetime. So therefore it's very important to, you know, read this and remember this again and again. Tedusu sikjigya majebar tembargyo techina sundusu kunge navar lopar chao. Nepa tamchigi nizo lopar chao, shiro tamchigi sar lopar chao. So it's great benefit to read in next to the sick people or definitely to the you know, dying people and the dead people. Gyachir pelvar chao di dang tepa kalpa shindu zangwa, you know, so saji dipa changwa mato pa di dang tepa kao. Kalte tena lor yopar kao dini tune lokta maikepa kune jowar nusu te chila te chir dira shindu che te su chao di chwe tamchigi chu yino parto damba toba zamgi jowa tepa zamgi jowa parto tutu shimu she chewa chungi parto ngo jopa zo so tup nida sanje ki seke tu tup karma lingpe chuwa sirtingi dam gampo darki rila gampo darki latin karche badawe nenis sangde dendang bao te se chuji lingpa la kadang lungde te guru surya tsenda la rinpa kadang lung baba la so te tundu da gaga dharma samute shu kupar ju so. So now there's the peaceful and grateful deity experience. That part now you have received. Now Sangeda Chanju Sambala Radara Tempe Monam Juso. This is the aspiration, short aspiration of Bardo. Kunjo Sumla Musu Jurpatan Yiki to Pe Chobapu, Latu Pu, Tishimato, the Dumata, the Gate of Chhoje Tulku Sangeda Chanju Samba Tuji, and the Kembat, down the Bachen, and the Basewa, on the Batuve, Capsu Jurpanum, Tuji, Wangi, Nether, Chunchi, Musu Jurpana Yiki to Pe Chobaji, Tuji Chenam like Kimbi, Seve, Tuji Zebet, and the Cubinu, the Sumgi Mikapangawala, Tuji Chenam, Chikimu. Jejawadi, Jitindin, Paru Tunido, Jitindin, Por Capchimbuni, K. Chimbuni, Dep, Troni me, Dungaliche, Cabni me, Guni me, Pungi me, Sidnawani Nup, Drawashin to do, Muna, Tupurju, Yanchin Purunidung, Namtogen, Naktu, Tupuniju, Legi Wankinite, Combachimbun, do Gazochimbuni, Legi Lungi, in the day, Satsumi Bechosu to Yungu. chimpo ne ju den chimpo ne sin shinje punyi jekshin da legacy nepal ne ju si wang ne mi chipro cho me pro droge be to la pamna tuje chenam chige mo ke me pa de la kyab je gunzo ju chi punyi je por de muna chimpo le kyo je lege lungmar chimpo le do chi shinje jigra chimpo le kyo je por de chong re ba le do chi tuje chenam tuje ma chung ji rada ju ji ngusum ngenson sumdo matangchi ngungi tamcha mayelwar tukji shuk nyurdo shungji sangye darjanju sambanam chege mundila tukji tabdan nipa machungshik tukji sungshik simche lengenge wangto matongshik kunjo sum dacha pardo dungele kyaptu sol dasha kunjo sum dacha pardo dungele kyaptu sol che mukwe tabu gone daje simche gone daje tamchege len sum chao tene pardo chojo dang changchul jikyu be monam tapar chao sangye darjanju samba rada jambe monam shuk so this is like a 2-page. I'm sure it must be in the Gurme Doje translation also, this one. Gyawajiro lala chasolo pato namba tuki sasene kimadala kene pato chetu di tsela longmele lo pangchene tesam kusum mayin lamna chu nasim lamna kusum gu yurjan milu lenchi tu pe tu su de yingpa lamla tu pe tu mayin kimadala minam pato chetu dire timurunyi pame pangchene timpa yingme nilu ngala chu milam suna Drugiro sejang turu shindu nyabra mejabara nidang usum dribe nyamlenche kimadala samde pato chetu de nami tupe sonam panjane yimi zime tate ngana jo kezo yina temba tobarjab jawabane se youtube de dire nyumu tube mondo manje kemadala chiga patu chado de kuna chasan jenzin panjala damga sewe lamla mayin jo randi keme namke yinsu pang duje shata ludan chelake mita gyuma yimbar shibaja kemadala shungi patu chado dire kuna ngata jigna pangjene kanchak Rana Rikpa Gusheja, Partanasu Yimbashipaja, Tunjangala Tukpe Tuji, Rana Jito Sola Majichi, Kematala Siba Patu Chatu, Tupaji, Simla Sunjane, Sampu Leto, Sampu Legato Laningitu, Nalgogane, Rulo Timbacha, Niru, Tanangu Betujigin, Mixer Panelama Yabingum Chiwa. Hongmei Nyabe Lo Ringpo Temi Sedi Chawa Dubdubne Tare Tonglo Chena Dematu Gongi Sheba Tampichu Imbe Tata Nidu Lashu Meche Tam Tinche Lame Shene Dikesu Lame Damwa Semla Majana Rangi Rangi Lupan Migiram Parto Namba Tuki Tsatsik So Pardo Chanchu Kimonam Shuk so Lamadan Kadu Sola Cha Sola Sewa Chimbalamna Nudu Dani Tube Kurakim Base Linki Yishe Seve Walamna Pao Rizinam Gilamna to Yimjo Kanto Sogi Yamne Kupatu Jibetan Lada to Zuyan Tazo Besangi Sarugi Timotoba Kurakim Base Chewing Seve Walamna Chumden Number Nozelam Yinchu Yinchu Mai Yamne Kupatu Jibetan Lada to Zuyan Tazo Besangi Sarugi Shidan Kurakim Base Melung Ishe Seve Walamna Chumden to Jisim Belamna Yumjo Sanji Jimmy Gimnego, but the Jibetan later so Yadazo Besangi Saruki on Jet Bekur Wakin Base. Kimi Sevelamna, Jim de Jim de Lamado, Yumchamaki, Gimnico, but the Jibetan later so Yumtazo Besangi Saruki, the Jet Bekur Wakin Base, so do you Seve Olamna Jim de Novata Yelamado Yumjo. Kokarmo Gimnico, but the Jibetan later so Yadazo Besangi Saruki, to the Bekur Wakin Base, Jedu Seve Olamna Jim de Belamna Yumjo, Tamsit Gimnico. But the Tibetan did the Yunda the best in Yesarugo, Pachata Bekurwaki, under Jina Sevelamna, Jundishitus, so Gelamnatum, Injo Tomosogi Yamniku, but the Tibetan did the Yunda the best in Yesarugo, Tunanda Bekurwaki, Lingi, Sevelamna, Power, so Gelamnatum, Injo Country, so Gamna, but the Tibetan did the Yunda the best in Yesarugo, Ahung, Namke, come to me dancing. Sange Tinki Shingam Tomacho, Chui Commander Medaje, Sange Karpu, Shinam Tomacho, May Commander Medaje, Sange Murpu Shingam Tomacho, Lungi Commander Medaje, Sange, Janku Shingam Tomacho, Dawiser Sum Daru Medaje, Shirum Jam, Shingam Tomacho, Jasun Commander Medaje, Sange. Naso Shinam Tomacho, Danum Tamjeran, Sheparcho, Venam Tamjeran, Sheparcho, Pardo Rangu. Rangi Sheparcho, Kusum Jingam Mundu Gibrasho, Pardo Chanduki Monam Zo so that's Sipa Bardo. Now is the Bardo of becoming, the future becoming. Badutimu, le Sipa Bardo to Jukso, Lama Idamla, Lazola, Kuba Yikisha, Padoto was it, so Padoto Chibulation in Patokondo, the Dennis Sipa Bardo, so the Java Dicito. The young Kondoshiba Shingi Bardo, sell there, Monduche, Janchi, Chuki complete Chawa, and letters on Matopa complete me, but on the Chenamani, Jita Tang, Lengi one. Jita the Lengi one king or Tobacco Sha, Chu Minchela Lebne, young Dicatos, sell the Brachate, young Gujusona Chababa, Sangita Jujusaman, Rada, 10, one of the 10 young. So the aspiration, you know, the few pages you will see in the same sequence in the Bardo translation of Gyurme. There is a aspiration, and also like you know, you need to set up the shrine, make offering, whatever you can, you know, flowers, water balls, and the 7 balls usually, and then flowers and then candles or butter lamps, whatever, and making that, and then you should have a picture of a Vajrasattva or peaceful and rightful deities. Basically, Vajrasattva is the embodiment of all the family of Buddhas. So therefore, having a Vajrasattva picture will also, it's included all the 100 Buddha families, 1,000 Buddhist families, 5 Buddha families, finally, and into one family of Vajrasattva, which includes all the Buddha families. You can have that and Padmasambhava picture, and then make the shrine, and then you do this for the, anyone who who is dead, particularly in your family members or friends, Dhamma friends, who you're doing it, that you need to recite the, the Mullam, the Bardo aspiration, and then of course read the whole thing, it's important. That's how you need to do. Then yang sede ki ming ne pola lenso mom de pola de to rikipu ki rikipu kyo le par nyu la yela sun chi nya wa dang la dang pa de ne ziki so ju wan de yang kyo chi pa to la shi na wa shi de shirbe shirtu so rango ma shi ne sha che dang sanga la so na tak pe gyal do de Gyalsampadang Shepa Chisitu Sone Lu Ngama Tapo Chongi Kyo Te Yang Gyu Le Ngunjung Sipe Sha Zu Chen Wangpo Kunzang Tome Gyu Lege Zu Tu Shukdan De Ritun Lami Tabaton She Sungpe Te Yang Ngunjung She Chawa Ni Kyo Ngame Pacha Ki Lu Shara Ki Lu Chi Taba Chi Gong Te Te Yang Kalpa Sungpe Lu Shin Senpe Chungse Tang Yo Pa Yi Lu Ke Nawa Yin Pe Parto Nawa Yi Ki Lu She Chao Te Tu Su Lhari Ke Rani Layu Ke Nawa Chung Lama Yin Da Mi Tang Tundu Tang Yi Da Tang Nyawa Tang Kandu Ke Wa Tingi Ke Nawa Kyo La Nawa Kyo La Jung Yin No Te Chi Na Ngun She Chawa Ni Sha Che Tang Sha Shi Chun Che Ngame Pacha Sipe Sha Zu Yu Nyam Che Chung She Chawa Ni Te Chin Che Chime Ne Kandu Kwe Nangwa Jungwe Na Ngun Chung She Chawa Yin No Te San Na Nawa Kang Chungwa Te Je Su Ma Ting Shing Ma Cha Shing Ma Jin Chi Shen Cha Shen Jing Cha Na Ne Kyo Rik Tu De Kyam Shing Du Ngi War Gyurbe Ka Sang Pen Che Shing Bardo Sha Ya Ngo Ma Zimbe Diri Kyam Go Chungwa Yin No Ta Ni Ma Yin Pare Ngo Wo Kyong Gyu Yin Yo Na Ne La Me Ngo Tu Be Rik Pa Sal Tong Je Ne Che Re Wa Te To Tu Zime Char Me Lo La Sho Chi Ngal Go Mi Dim Par Thar War Tho Bo Kyo Ra Ngo Ma She Na Ni Yidam Ka Yin Pa Kerang Ki Lama Chi Ur Gom La Mu Ku Ta Po Tung Tung Ki Shi Kel Chi O Ma Yin Shi Chi Jo To Te La Yang Ngo Se Na Rik Truk Do Ma Yin Par To War Chol De Yang Le Ngin Ki Wang Ki Ngo Se Par Ka We Yang De Ke Jo To Ki Ki Rik Po Yang Nyun Chi Te Yang Wang Po Kun Sang Tomi Gyu She Chawa Kyo Sumpe Tu Su Mik Long Tang Yunpa tang sharwa la sopa yu kyang tata partur miki suktong la nawe dha tuba la sopa wangpo la kyo me pa sal jing sarwa wangwe techir wangpo kunsang she chawe kyo rang shi ne partur kempe ta yinpe ngoy sabu keshe damga tembar keshe ke rikipo tome den she chawa kyo ki lu yinte rikpa ten dang trebe dochi ki lu ni mebe techir rirab dang kangim dang sado dang rita tamche la tuba me pares santé du drone ba chik tata kyo la yu to ngyang mai ngal dang doje den ma to ba rirab la yang par te sulte du drone ba chik tata kyo la yu to te yang sipa par do kempe ta yimbe la me dam nga temper ke shi jo tu ji chimpo la so wa to ji ke rig po le ke zu tu shuk dang den je jo ne kyo la ta yun te nam ting jing ge zu ka yin mai quand il y a moyen la lègue chouk les jungwe zu le dans ton bag que chik ling je rap dans je pas connait que connait quand de be yulte tabazam ki kichik mani to lebzimbe kipu la pa kyangum sam to lebe chouk dans zu yamazung namba na so Martin temba tamti ditan ditun minu chawa mete toba me bertu ne bachik tata kyola yepe ngoshi burgela la mala so wat obje ke rig bu rig tun lamik ta pe tung she chawa rig tun she chawa ni bartor ki we rig tu me nang sen nam chigir chik thwa ong te yang sar ke wa rig tun bai yinani sachi ki chik thong te jin tu rig tu khang du ke wa te rig tun ba nam chik ni chik thong ne ong we te la majembar tukje chimbo gumshi te yang lamik ta par tongje chawa hala suba sonam le tu ba mayinte samte yang ta par gombe lai mik number ta pe thongwa yang mayino te yang tu tamche du thongwa mayino ta we dum pa tang na thong la mi tang na mi thong te samte yang min samte yang ne rowa yang yo to ki ri ki pu te re lu chin de yul tang Nitu dewa namdang milam tu cheba de bujung de kyugi nyedel zola tamme kyang tamle miung be nyewa dang za chu tungwa tong ne ung tanga shine dugbe chetar chawa nyam dunge tapo nya chesen la deba tapo dunge chik tata kyo la yebe da kyorang dunge chekyang pemba me to kyorang lama yuna lama la sowa top chik yidam tukji chimbo la sowa top chik kyorang nyedela nyedela chakyang pemba me be macha shi kyorang tukji chimbo la sowa top chik dunge dangang ra me wo ke ke re ke po kyo yowa lungi de be wang me ba rikpa teme chawa chadro lungi te pa tapo ugi tala june chechu langling drojing tuwa kun la nguwa kun la nga diyu mangushik chawe te khonso ma tu be yang nga shiwa yimba du nyamne dungi shindu chawa jiktata kyo la yu tu kyorang te de bu dungi ma chi ji ngin se me bar ton nam ki yu de bu kya thome wa ji gyundo ngo te de bu parto la sha duncha chikam nisam sumam shiyam ngam chukam duncha dunla so pa ja ji chu shigu ongwa yang yu to pel chaw ne si pa parto dungi ja ni shu za chi ongwar sung te le ki wangi chik tuni mange so ke rigi pu tu te samna le ki lungmara chimbo shindu mizba ta pu te su pe gyabne pul do nge te la ma ji shi kyorang ke chunang yinu shindu jik pe muna chimbo rab tu mizba dunne su jing gyob jik su jik che pe kuda chimbo te namla kyo ma jik shi shenyang dik pu che namla ni le ki shaza chimbo suncha na so pa toba mang pu gyob jik su jik la so pe dra diri wa hapsha cheongo chenzenba jiksuru na supe tepe nawa yang kachar dang buyuk dang munna dang mimang pu tepe nawa yang jungo rinye be dang so lu be dang mechepe urchum dang lungchimbo lang be dang tenam na shene kangbab su trebe dun ye sasum ki chode karpo dang marpo dang napo dang nyam ngawa sumla julpa kek ba jungo keke rekpo te yang tapa ne yang sa mayinte shedang dang decha dang temu dang sumi no 대세 시파 버도 임버시버게라 tukje chimbo tsene jojin jo tukje chimbo lama kunjo da mingdi je chawa nga ngensong do matangchik kila sowa tobji maje berki shi sheyong so sa sing chö shamar cheba namlani longjo pusum soba namki dune sune diki pusum soba namba naso nyamsu nyumwar gyoro tedra kangcho yon rikipu kyo deyon dan diki chichung yang tela machashik majinchi lama kuncho chö ching nyamdo simla chakshen boji kitu ke nawa me par tangyum ke nawa sharne chungna yang rinpa gome yingme chagya chimbo ngana shoji shindu kelchi o keke rikipu tuyde zana sama samgyu dang kangzang dang sagang dang zachil dang chuden la sopa la yu zamre tende yang yun ringpo ni mecha par rikpa lung dang trewe wangki dwe mizukpa pak takshin sikpa za kya zingzing che shepa penpun chechu yeyu che do ngo de do samlo chik dangwe aka ngashiwa yimbar dukpa tani sukjena nyambe shiba kyojing ning chang sangi jo dungye tabu pado mepa ungo sachik tu mecha par jogo ba yiki tempa naus ba maji par rikpa naldo tupji kyola se yang ngo pa mato par sarme jing tola yang nge pa mepe tu jungo desi pa par tu yilu kembe ta yino de zana ki kyang lege ji zu me rangwo rangi yulkur nyetu rangi rola sopa tona rangi rola sopa yang tongne tani nga shini dukpe chita na nyamde yilu tela nentara kyowa yang jungde ngi lu chik topna chimarung nyamne tamche du lu soldo jowe na wa kyola ungo rangi rola lingu partu jukpar chekyang shungi partu yun ringwa gugni kyak yarni rul tema tema yina yang nitu sekbe seksam dusu besam sha Jachinzen la chine sul lo samyene shindu yingmaga de chak ngang do tamje ge sibdu zangbe nangwa kyo la hongwa nge de tedar dungye jungwa te sipa pardo yinpe kyo rang lu sul yang dungye wale miyongwe lu ki shimpa kyo la charme ki ngala nepar kishi in the Sipa Bardo, the Bardo becoming, you must read those very carefully, that how we go through the experience of dying, that we don't even know we are dead. And then finally, when we see that, we ask something to our friends and families, and they don't answer you back, then you realize that the death has come to you, and that really makes you very sad and fearful feeling. And then you try to, and then you see your own body lying there, and then you try to make 9 times the effort to try to get into the body so that you can revive back into life. But of course, that's not possible. If it's winter time, like in the Arctic, supposing, the body will be frozen. If it's like summer, it'll be like, rotten. So therefore, and then all those makes tremendous agony, and you just wish, you yearn for a body at that time. So therefore, each one of them, and how to deal with that. And best is, of course, those who have meditation during this lifetime, that you need to remain in the Dzogchen awareness, Mahamudra awareness, or Dzogchen awareness of uncontrived state. And then you can find liberation from all those, dualistic craving, and then find liberation. Otherwise, all those fears and experience will be very agonizing at that time. So you must read those, Bardo Total carefully. So even you try to gain a body, it will just create agony. You won't achieve anything. So give up the attachment to the body and remain in uncontrived awareness. sipe yang sedege mene pola de jodo ke ri ki bu chig mo kyön chi yang kyo te tar dung el war jung de kyorang gi le yin be shen su kyang le me be rang gi le yin be da ne ku jo sum so wa ta do tu ji te kyo par gyo ro te tar so wa yang ma tap che ge chim bo yang go ma she yi tam sa ma gom na ne ta lin chi ke be le gi wa che se sa ne diyo karbo den do ngo lji ke be de dikpa che se sa ne diyo na bo den do ngo de zu kyo shin du che pa tang ngang pa tang chak pa tang darwar che ne nge dikpa ma che ze ne zu me kyang ter shin je na re nge le ge me long la diyo ze ne le ge me long la ta lam ge jung wa tang se lam ge jung wa jung we zun je kyang ma be be shin je ke ne tak pa shin je ke ne tak pa da de ti ne ke tek 닝드 규마충 레바 다 착퉁 샤자 르바 무리양 치미둡데 르tumbur둡 경선에 옹오 양양 뚜베 둥에 치봉웨 뒤대서나 디우드네 두견 켜랑 마지지 마다지 즈 마저바 신지 레 준 마저바 신지 라 마직시 큐기 큐이기 루이 베세바당 뚜바주야 치규메도 되나 그 동배 정수 인베 시메고 신제 남자랑 추바 동배 정수 인의 그 랑바자 얘기를 동바 인베 동바니게 동바니 라미니도 세마메베 세마라 라미니도 랑게 주낭 마인베 로네 치르도 신제 단라단 데다 rakша lango la sopa nguzu tuba mebe ngoshe parkiji tesana parto yimbe ngoshe parkiji chagya zimbe tingzin gomshi gomashi na kyoran jikta kekingi ngo tere chirki tebe ngo chi yama tuba tongsinga wachi yobate ni chugu yino. So, so during the Sipa Bardo, future becoming, then so those who have meditation practice during this life, those who have Dharma, whether they are doing the Mahayoga practice, Anuyoga practice, and Mahamudra practice, those who the Lama has introduced the nature of the mind, and those who are meditating in this life, that's the time to meditate now when you go through the bardo. Now supposing who didn't have, no possibility like that, neither you have Yidam practice, nor you have Mahamudra teaching, nor you have Dzogchen teaching, then what will happen at that time? Your karmic manifestation, the karmic manifestation expression will arise, which is called Hinchikepe La, the guardian angels, so to speak. Of course, it's none other, it's not something external entity, but it's your own awareness, expression, And so that guardian here, the reason why I'm saying sort of guardian angel, is not the exact same meaning, in the theistic tradition, but because it's the expression of your awareness. So it's not an external entity. However, it's called because it's like protecting deity for you. And it will come, and it has collected all the white pebbles, that all the good karma you have accumulated during the lifetime. So it comes like in a bag or full of white balls, So how many karma you have, positive karma you accumulate. And then due to your negative energy, negative karma, the negative entity, force, sort of entity will arise also, who collects all the black pebbles, sort of all the bad karma that you accumulate during that lifetime. So at that time, you can't run away from that, and it creates a fear and tremendous agony. And so then you will try to say, you will try to lie, saying that, I didn't create bad karma, I've been a good person. You try to protect yourself. That's exactly, the expression of, the egos, the notion of survival, which speaks, the notion of survival, the identity of self, expression which speak, that we always try to, blame other people, even during our lifetime, and we never see our own fault, and we always try to, say I didn't do it. So same thing, when you say that during the bardo, then those guardians will say, okay, I will look into the mirror of your karma. There is a mirror, of karma, how many good karma you did and how many bad karma you did. And so even you lie, there's no way to hide that. Everything was so clear. And then if there's a negative karma, then one experience being put like a rope, lasso around your neck, and they will take, and you will experience like they will cut your neck and eat your intestine and then suck your brains and drink your blood, eat your flesh. Like all those experiences will arise, and you will go through lots of agony and suffering. But then what is explained in the Bardo teaching is that don't be afraid of that. Be honest to the guardians. Tell the truth. Don't try to lie. Because at that time, you don't have a gross physical body. You have a mental body. So actually you can't die. You wouldn't die because you have just like in our dream. That's why the dream yogas are so important for us to meditate, illusory body dream. Because just like in our dream, we go through trials. I'm sure, each person's karma, that we go through good and bad experience in our dream based on our own karmic creation. Otherwise, you won't have a dream experience beside your karma. So whatever experience you have in your dream is based on your individual karma. It's not, you're not going to, dream about somebody else's karma. You're going to dream about your own karma. Whatever that is, your collective karma and your individual karma. That's the one you're going to experience. So it's saying that you don't have to be afraid, don't be agony, because you have a mental body. Like we also have a mental body in our dream, but we don't realize it's a mental body. We go through whole fear as well as love, hate, fear. Everything happens. Fire will burn, the weapons will cut through, and all this agony we go through, not realizing our dream, how we get, going through that agony. Same as here, it says, don't need to be afraid because you only have a mental body. And so by seeing that, look at the one who is experiencing the fear. Again here is introducing the nature of the mind. Look at that, one who's going through the agony, one is going through the suffering, and look at that. And then by seeing that, because in the Bardo state, since you don't have a gross physical body, not only the external body, but internal element, external element, your mind is on a very subtle level where you are so close to realizing your nature. At the same time, of course, it's very intense and very sharp and very vivid at that time. But at the same time, that vivid quality also comes in seeing the nature of the mind. So at that time, if you have devotion, then generate devotion to the triple gem, and then remain in meditation, you will find liberation. That is what is explained in the Sippa Bardo. So therefore, important that we need to, while we're living, the continuation of our practice is so important, seeing the nature of your own mind. It's in the nature of outside, nature of your mind. So you will realize your Dharmakaya mind at that time. Tongba Teyang, Tongba Chalche de Masong de Tombe Ngo Jixun Yambe Rikpa Shike Selewa Chik Yuki Teni Longchu Zope Gomba Yino Tongba Don Sewa Ni Yamadaba Tombe Ngo Sewa Sewe Ngo Tongba Yermichibe Rikpa Jamba Tela Beba Chik Tata Rangzo Zo Meki Ngala Nene Yoto Teyang Ngo Niki Ku Yino Teyang Teniki Rangze Maga Barchi Yang Chirwa Chik Yuki Tene Tujire Tube Ku Yino Kiki Riki Pu Tetra Maying Par Yunchik Ngoshipa Samki Kuji Yonsu Kuji Yonzo Su Sangewara Gyuro Mayingshi Sangetan Simjin ke samdine cheba yino yuldada gal chimbudi tusu yingnani tutadu dungil ke damne tumbe tu meongo kiji chigi chiraji kiji chigi zosange cheba te tari yoba yino kyorangla kasang penje ying shurbe parto tesam chigi sharya ngo matrebe jigda tesam chik chungwa yino tani ying shurna tukji changara taa chene tarmepe nesu dobar zopchi che ngo trepe kondu ngo matre yangder ngo trene toba tobo te tara gombe shebe minak pa yinna deke jodo ke rikibu te tara gomba shena sangye tang cho tang gindu da tukji chenpo na dambrike la sowa tupji jitrake nawa tamji tukji chenpo wang kyorangi yitam do gongshe meyu do wang kangshebe sendang lama dambrike la shinji chuki yebo la maji che yang dula minebe jigta pongchi che jola ngotibe yang kondo matre yang dire jobar gyuru yang ngote yang matre basibe nenja kelchiwe chiru yang sede ki mingne pola diki jodo kerikipu tata nawa yuzamre dedo gine ngombo chere pone ongwe perna gyoki turko dandawe tata soden nawa yene mache shi turike nawa sharbesi shuldu nyawa sumbo nimge shimbe tundongone simje mambo soje de chujinjebe kyo matakbe nawa shete shedang rabu kene de samanjone nyawa kibar yurbe shuldu le chi che ne dukin kyorang shedang make wara chamba gomshi yang kyoki kyorangi shulki norzela chasim kebam kyoki norze shinge wang chene chujingdu par chene kyo norde nana chashing shulgi misela dama kebe te samanchene turi tupgyu yang nyalwa mita sungi par kewa kiwe tewe kyurang shulgi nola shakyang sawang ne me kyurang la pe ne me tobe shulgi nola chakpa na shenpa pong lingi kyuru kota kyurangi nola su chune dukyang sena ma cheba le tombar kishi lama kuncho la pulu nyambe dunba ke la chashime pe chachi shimi ki ngala nebara ki shi yang kyuki tundu shinji yang kyuki tundu shimbu choka kanga ne dunba tang song jongwa la soba kyuki tundu chekyang te matakpa tang yingwa la soba cheba tang tamsik tang dunba mizangwa pame be choba te kyuki ngushe tamu tone hongi te la kyo matepa tang lota keba tang jikta jikshindane le nabo la soba tang chocho tang chokam matakwa nam shene hongi tere kyuki samba kema dinam dagi luso ngepara luso nyamne shindu yimukte kema dinam ke da luso ngepara luso nyamne shindu yimukte migawa chimbo dan chede dana mugu makete tengdu lokta tang matepa kene umate samjorne ngepa ngensundu juwe tela pembale noba chewa yingi kyorangi shulgi she nyamba namki chocho matakwa chedar jene du yang ta kare ranang rang nawa matapa yin gewe suna matapa kalase rangi cheki tema melong kanangdu thongwa da ranang matapa yin ge denam ge ku gindu sungdam je tuk sanje ge ngo yimbe kyapsu chiwo yimbe mabadang danang tanang ge she tabane ge chi tene kyorang ge shuldu chijiba nam kyora pembrngi be de tara tanang chiba kelle che we majebar kishi de yang kyo ngensundu kigyo yinbe ngensong nawa charwese shuldu ngire namki dikwa tang marebe karba choy choy tang lama lupa namki yang lunga yisum gewe choka nam takpar cheba de tongne kyo tela choka chimbo keba tsamki de samjuru che ne ngensongdu tungyo yang turi ngebar dobe penyon yube kyoram matakbe nawa makechi tanamugu chome cheba kel chiwe subji ke rikibu dona kyo parto rikpada tem mepe yangshin yowa tela gimige nawa kangshirwa te topchewa yimbe migewa yila machi par kyorangi gejur yona tembar ki la gejur menang tanang mugu ke yedam ke sadang tuji chimbo la sowa tuji dumba chapu Monam de yang top chi kema gawe trodan tene chikpuro kyam dana tongbe sungyen shartu dire sangye namge tukshi shukchune nganda parde jikpa mijing sho lenge wangge dunge nyongsa na yitam la yi dunge sewa jo shungi rangta rukdong dirza na tamchi yitu daru gyuwa shi kyame lege jesu dengdu dire tukshi chimbo dara kyabzu zo bacha lege dunge nyongdu de ose dewe dengzin chaba sho teke to monam tab teke to monam Chakpo Topchi Lamna Dengi Milungi Parta Chuki Shindu Kelchu Shejube Yang Tembanyan Nguzin Toward Toparguru Yang Tetara Len Mondoji Yang Laying Pashe Chibe Topi Ngojubaka Tarung Tarung Len Mondogyola Penchibe Yang Sedeki Mini Lensum Peladegi To Keke Rikipu Kongi Tenamla Timbamazina Tudin Se Ngami Lute Misel to Dojing Chime Lute Saltusone Tela Kyoneta nga ti te bu dungel wa ta lu chi da chi chung yang sol sam ne gar chung chung tu che che lang ling la chi be do wa ri tu gi tuk du tuk chate lege kandu ke wa te so chere chardo ngo ke ri bu nyun chi tuk bu de gang shen la yu ko ba ta me ji chardo ngo la ma yin ge mar ba ta me ji chardo ngo mi yu ngo ba ta me ji chardo ngo tu de jang gu ta me ji chardo ngo yi da ge yu sir ba ta me ji chardo ngo ye we yu tu ka te chukpo teta jungo te sana leki do kyang kanto kiwe ki do do ki rikipo te tu su tamga ki ne shindu kalchi te tu su te tuji chimbo gomshi nam chung do tuji chimbo yino nyamdo gomshi di shindu na wasa pa yinte di kalchi te kiwa ke pargiro yang na kyorangi yitam ke haa kaa yinpa te gyumatabu nala ranchi meba yino do gomshi gyumata bu je chawo tene yitam thane yate chirim yang majube tong sel zimba me bengana jo che yang yitam gom yang sel gom tetra remesu gomla te je rikwa yang thane yalte namke karikyaw to rikpe karikyaw to chugu game tuje ki ngana chammere jago te ngana kewa kegne sangi burgiru yang te yang jamba shindu shimbe komdi me banamki mizimbe yang chulde ngalgo dimbargyuru pe ngalgo kape damba kelchi yang sedegi mine para dege jo to ke riki bo kondra ngwe mazina di to je lege wanki kena jowa tang chela jowa tang gotu laten de jowe no chete de sana kyorang tuji chimbo gongje dimbargi chi dere gondo sheba tar lung suba tang puyu tang serba tang namu pa tang mi mangpe ne tepe nawa sharne tela jobe sona me de namlani dungi ki nezu jobe nawa jung sunam chenlani dewa tang debe nezu lebe nawa jungwe tu te sana rikipu lingshi kandu kibe ta nam tu dere charto ngwe de tu su damga ki ne shindu zaba mungpo yube maying par nyuji kongi ngochu ne de nam mazimpa mazinang dere jangpa shindu shenpara yubi kyang ne ngwe zin ngwe yunji Tani di tusu ngalgo gabe tabla sabakal che tela gatab ni yu to juji ki kansa gaba tang juji ngalgo gaba ni tela juji ki kansa gaba tang mani ke rikibu chikimu kyorangi yitam kaan yinba te nala raji meba churangi dawa tubu balki gomshik tini yitam tani yalde chila yang mimi peo se tombara gomshik te ni ne zamu yinte te ngal tu mijukbar sungbe te tara gomshik kal te yang makik bar ngal tu jukbar tip chung na ngal tu jukbar tap chung na yang jukje ngal go gabe tam nga zamu yube kyorang nyunchi parto tsatsige nane dege sungte kyorang ngai she du ki shi kema daane sibabar da shedu diri dumba zishi simla zungjine sambu lege chola nengi tu ngal go gane rulo temparcha nyingru tanang gube tuji yin mixer pane lama yimgum she khane teke thanglang jola tingu gi la te tun gum nyamsu len la kelchi nyamsu len la cheo te duni da sibabudu chatu dirishimba shebani kyurang ta sibabudu kyamne yobayimbe te da su kyurang chunang du tibadang kyurang ki che mitongo lu la jimayang me do deni de che shara lu me pe sibabudu yi lu kyambe da yimbe. So when we die, because it's a mental body, if you look in the mirror, you won't see your face. If you look in the water also, you won't see your body. And you won't have a shadow in your body, So those are the signs that, one doesn't experience when one is just with the mental body. Tine doji shiragi lui mebe siva barde yilu ki kimbeta yimbeta ni dumba tseji du maying parsimla zungo te ta ni dumba ya kona so chewa ta kasab ki girwa tang rao dumba kang tepa te drupne ongo ngempe le nam yila mayurwa miyu tu chö tang damga wangtang kalung parto tuto la subak kala dewa yupa te nam tata tembar ki la zambu leki cho la nentengi la tu chik shindu kelcho maje chik mayingshi yar do madro sasam tu tare lelo tar chik shurwe tu tendu dungen yongwe tu tare dumba ki chik zungwe dewa chendu dumba ki chik zungwe dewa tendu ongwe tu tare dumba tse chik simla zungshi zambu lecho la nengi tui chik tani ngalgo kabe tu la papo ngalgo kani rulo tembarcha nyuru tanang gobe tu chiki che sungbe te tu tata tu la pape tambo ngalgo kaparcha te yang gathap namba nga yube semla lekpar zungshi ke riki po te tu zu pomo chapa chubar tome namale kyo la ongo te tu zu te tome tu su te par la majuk par tempe sung la pamanyi po lama yabyum nisugum na chaze yiki chuba drul la pul Mugutabu ki la shu nyambe tumba tangwa tsamke ngalgo kipra ngalgo kipra giro kalte te kyang ma kipra ngaldo juba tebichung tapchung na laba yemi yipo te yitam kanya rungwa yitam tuji chimbo yemi gomla te la chupa yigitune bulo te la da la ngudub shu nyambe tumba tabu ki shi te ne ngalgo kipra giro yang te kyang ma kipra ngaldo jub tapchung na suba chadang dobe damba tende deyang kewa namba shi yubara gongke tang ngalke tang zuke tang chushe leke pa tang shi yubetela gongke tang ngalke nyi chatun te gong tar pomu nyi tikpa chuba tong ne ong de te tuzu chawdang ki ngaldu jung ne tatang cha ki mila soba karke yang rung de kaltere por kena ne rinyi po na wacharte pala shidang rabu ke shing mala mixer tang chakwa ke we na wa kalte mur kena ni rangi me na wacharte mala chakdo tang mixer rabu ke shing pala chakwa tang dungsum rabu ke shing de genje de pai shanglam du shung ne tigle karma tebe usu linchi kepe ga wanyam sunyone dewe ngana shipa gyallo ki song ne mer po ta nunu bula soba lumin te mai ngal chiri tumba mi cheba dang kigu chikdu lo ki song ne tambu mi bala tidu kir song ne ki sang ne dungal wam dejin du 파게 상암 조부르게 상암 무신게 상암 발랑다 relukla sobe chugurke te sulopane me shindu lunjing te mupengane dunge namba naso nyorgiro tetra nyewadang itala soba joajik tu ko to dungel podmebe nyam taburgiro dile pal tobucheom dilash dile shi jikpa mena azi jikpa azi tewe Lamada Medamga Mebanam Sul Theatre, Kurve Yonsachin Bulung, the Dungi Yunshi Mebe, Narwa Gurve, Tevena, Ngai, Kala Yunchi, Ngai Damadi, Yila Zungshi, Tani, Chadang Done, Algoga Bedama, Chikten, no, Nula Yila Zungshi, Te Yang Algoga, Lord Marcha, Yuru, Tana, go to Chicken. Mr. Panella, my Yungom, Jesumbe. je sumba yimbe kong tara puru kena mala chashing paladang muru kena pala chashing maladang ne mixer ki kiwe na wa ongo te damga samuchi yo to ke rikubo te to chatan chungwe se de tara gomshe kema da te simje le ngimbe ta nga kore kimbe kemba yang chadang ni la tene kemba yen tarung yang de te chadang chena ne korwa tuwa me para kamne dungini gyaso la yuring te chingin yupe tani chadang yin mi cha gu zama tani chadang yin mi cha gu azama tani chadang jere ken nyambe dumba rabo simna zungwe 대랑게 알고 그버 균에 송도 베게 게리고 마이체도 바세지 섬나조시 양대 떨어지신 알고 가 버랑알도 주베 잡주나 양 데미기마도 베담가디 알고 그버죠 기마 파마 예비미 땅 천하 롱숲 땅 우르침 땅 직자게 나와다 능진 시병고보데 남탐제 기 정신 기마다 부인 제대로 샤리양 데마당 고보 탐제 미든 Zumbayin, Migutan, Takpa Mayin, Tirzuk Pa Mayin, Chani Chije, Mepala, Yopa Tongayin, Denam Tamja Rangi Simke Nawayin, Simni, Gumata Buyin, Mepala, Chirutu, Data Bukanayo, Dani, Munchi Data Ramatope, Mepala, Yoparsum, Midembala, Tunduzum, Gumata Demberzum Way, Unity. Di ni jig kurari kempa yin tarung yang gimra shena kura yun de gemna dunga na so ke dam de suinge be tane de tamji minam da bu guma da bu chacha da bu chize chongir da bu migyu da bu sungin da bu migyur da bu chuda da bu dembra ke ji kya ba me nge para miden zumba yino de ba se ji du zungwe denzin shingne de tar gyu la kelne da zin do go de bu she ta ba ne zumba shine ngal go nge para ke par gyuru yang te tere chekyan denzin machik te ngal go ke par ngal do ju tab chungna yang dam nga samuchik yue pe ke ke re ku pu kyu ke te tere chekyan go ma ke na ta ne nga pa o se gum ne ngal go ga par cha te te yang gum lu de tere cha o ke mang go tam che rang ge sem yin sim di ne ke ga ta de tong ba yin no nyam sem la che le me cha wa per na chu la chu ja pa sin tu sem ko rang ge to rang lu su zen ne rang ba su le te ye re shi ke ma che par le ne ja ne ke wa na ba ji ngal go nge par ka ta nge par kek ta chu de ta chu de tar yang ne yang tu maki ke par to komshi te inche algo ka pe da bas zamo yang ta para mang du yo to te nam ki khangza ong po rap ding tha ma yang me chul mi si to te chi che jena pa to nam shi de la sa che ki ngu shi yue pe da ki chi ke dāki chīme kū tūpatān chīk hōnlōng yīnyāng dē tūsū wāngpō tsāngbē chīme kōwā tāng yī chīk chāke tātū dēne chī chā nā nyambē chāmbā yīngmē tū yōpē dāki chīme nyāne wā tāng sū namshē tēmē pē tūmbā kārtē tu thalki lepte khalo gyurdu lawa tangshi jamba gu gyurge selwe kupa yingyang de tu su leke wangki rikpa seldo sone chi labatam je gom shibe yunten tang ne de de bu yunten yobe chero de na shiwe de na shimpu choga chibe pe yun yobe gyusen yang de tar yino tebe na sha ji chu shigu par Pardo Turushimo di Lopar Nintin Jawashin to Ne Kelcho Ngo Chigla, Matulna Yang Chigla Tuba Tuba Yinte, Ngo Michipa Mangdu Gobe, Yang Tetra Laso, Tene Yang Give Lela Kumdi Chungwa Tang, Mikiwe Lela Yeto, Mane Kumdi Chetapa Tang, Didip Top. Tang pung chewe topke kongi ngo chö tang mikpa te sam po kya me chwe rik mang po yepe te ne kong to ngal ko ma khak ne dine phal ngal ko dambe dam nga zamu chi yang ya temperature te yang sangi dang chen ju sem ba nam la rada ten kyap do simki chene yang sede ki mingne len sumbo la de jodo ke riki pu sele de pa chikmo kyu nyun chi kyo la kondo da me ngo jo de sam chi tab nyang ko wara du ki mako war du ki ta ni ngal go makik na lu lang rembe tu la pa be kyo rang ngal go dambe damga zamu rik me rik mi chik ba mang tu yu be yi la zu chi ma ying chik dumba ta bo ma ying par yi la zu chi ke ri ge bo tan ni ling khang du ke we ta na se ma we ngo shi par cha te te yang khang du ke we te ta la ling yang tam par cha wo sha du pa po ke na ni te pa po me ge be so du par yang thong o te yang ma do bar sha lu pa po ke na ni te pa po me gembe so dukpari yang tongo teri yamado war rulo temper kichi tere che na deki zomkyang chue matarwe sa yinpe majuk chi la zombu lingdu kena ne kansang nyam gawar yang tongne ongo kelte jugna teri jugpar kichi nu palang chue do kena ne ta pumu gembe so dukpa yang tongo teri yamado war sur rulo chi longcho yu kyang chue matarwe ling yinpe majuk chi chang dami yin tu kena chang dami yin tu kena ni langi gembe soam yunshin ki gembe so dukpar yang tongo teta tu kewa lempe tesu ngo shebar ki chi yang tetar majuk chi tsetse sonam yu kyang tsetse tong sonam yu kyang teri yang chue matarwe majuk chi lar kena ni rinpo chi na sobe jube she ye kang tse manyam gawar yang tongwar gyuro tere shukyang rangi jukbar tere shukyang rungi jukbar kishi lama yindu kena ni nakse nyam gawar tongwa ham galme kholo korwa tabu tongwa tere chini kyang ma jukba rulo tembar kishi tudur kena ni tabu tang chilbo tang nabungi sultu tongwa tere yang ma jukshi idak su kena ni dong tuma tang na tengi wat chokpo puk duksam la nak lingi war tongo tere china yida su kene tekum ge dunge na so ba nyam so nyom war gywe te tere chine kyam ma do rulo tembar ge shin yuru tabur ge shin ye war kena ni lingi be lu yang su te ba ham ung me du ju go ba chuna muna ke ling dang khang ba na po dang khang ba mar po dang sa dung na po dang lam na po la chim ba la so be na wa tere china ni ye war su sa dang ge dunge so la me prinyo de tembe tu me ung we de sip tu me do war sa par chao chini kyang ma super chao ngalgo kaane rulo bo temper chao she sungba te tu tare go ba yin ke riki pu kyu me do bar de kyang rang la wang kyu me do bar de kyang rang la wang me par do go ba dang duni she dang sokchu gi tiba dang mena dang lungmar chuma chimbo dang kuda dang khachar dang serwa dang buyu chubjing trebe nawa kyolong tere tejing kyap chowa la chimbe gongdo shebe kangsang sam cha gi ba dang sapuk dang nakse dang meto pemala so kha zumbe na do tarne de na kapti chire tu ki to ne da dine chire to na ne mirung nyam ne te dang chalgi do pe kyune de la shindu chabar yun gyuro tene chiru de tonane pardo jikta te nam tege to pe tetala jikshi ngang pe nang tu kabe khang na me be lungi ba chi lang dungen na so nyamsu dungen na so nyamsu nyodong we ta tene kyula dressing ge pardo chupe ta yimbe de to su damga sam chi yebe kyona lai kyona nyola yila zungji de to su sheme ungme tu teng pa tang jikta nam jungwe tu su kichi gi tensu su chumnende chejo hirukam terinam chana doje la sopa ham Kyorangi idam yuna tingi ku chiba yana rapa giri tamche tewar labar chiba chuwa jiksurungwa chikdu chongi ke chik te chenab tang tuji shema tang chalte algo dambe wang toba yinpe tani damga ne zamo yang taba yinpe yi la sunji ke rikibu shenyang samdingi lhala sopa namni tingi zingi wangi kewa yino yidala sopa dungi rik sen chikne parto tingi tu dushi gyurne yidatang jisingi lu zuru na sopa tenu pam yilu teka gyurne hongwa yino chingla nipe yidatang kala gyu yidatang giru tonda gechula sopa yilu tingi tu dushi gyurne rowo de dusu dunyi chakya chimbo duen tenna ni chodo gyuro de taram ma jona gyuma tepe sel jong kishi de tariyang ma jona kangla chase ma jibar yitam tuji chimbo kubar pardo lungchur sangi bar gyuro ke rikipu kai tere kelte le ki wangi ngal tuju bar ngal tuju kubar chuna tani ngal ko dabe tambate bar chao nyun chi te yang ngal ko kang chung chung tu madu chik shema chung ne mituwe wang ma chuna Terton gomshi yang te yang kyola tata ngunshi chamu yupe ne tamche rinpadara shinungwe dambara ki chik te yang dabe sangi ki shingdu powa tang mata korwe ngalgu dabe dangwa nye yupe didara ki shi tangpo rawa takpa kachugi ne su powa ni te yang tangpo rab takpa kachugi nisu pawani teyang dunpa di tabu tangte kema da kalpa changme pe tu ringpo te samshikne tarung kuray damdar lupani kyo wala ngun tingi chik sangye pe ringla da matuwa di asama tani kurwa di kyugre lo jeri jik nyugre pu tani drepe trapchan charinduk pe da rang nub dewa jingi jingam su singye nongwa tayi ki jab chung tu me to pe me ka la zudi kiwara cha go nyimbe tumba tapu te to shen yang rang kang me pe shing kam ngon para ga wam tu bo ko bam chang lo chen nam riu talam pe ma u ki je su u gen ki chung am kang me pe shin tumba te to se chik tu mai par che la te ma tu shingam su kiwar gyo ro shen la ga den tu chambe chung tu ruwar me na hang da pardu kabuter gaden nani mi pom chugi jebu tungdu dobe tu la pa pe dobar chawo nyembe tumba tene chambe tungdu pe meni buju de geo she yang te tara matub she ngal du jubar chowa ham ju gobar jungna mata korwe ngal go tembe tamba yebe nyun chi ya te yang kongdra ling yang dabara cha chi ngushi ge de la chue terbe ser jubar chawo te yang misa we zeden te yang mi tsang we ze jen jin chik la zu te kiwar gyurwe te nam kanki nawa shirwa te la denzin mi chebar chatangi tsima me bar che la ngal go sambo tambar chao te yang dumba toba kel chiwe de tar chao kema dani simje tam cheki tundu korwo kulu yuwe gyapo ngam chanze rik shing sala chimbo tabu mtuba tobe se po am chugyu tima me pe riksa pama teba jinge risu kene rowa simchen ge tuenche nupe sonam chenchi ge lu jikpa lawar chao nyebe dumba te la ngal tu jikpa chao desi jukbe ngal te yang lai sheye kang chinge labar chao choshi gyawa seton jikpa namtang idam ge la tang kibar tu tuje chimbola sowa tobla wang kuru shu nyebe mepa che la ngal tu jikpa chao di te yang ngal go damba di yang norwe nye yupe lege wangke ngal go sangpo la ngenpa da tongwa tang ngenpa la sangpo da tong ne norwe nyen yupe te tu su yang damba ne kel chewe yang di tar chao te yang sambo nawa chung yang te la ma chak shik ngimpe nawa chung wa la ma dang shik sangi long to me par chatang de chewe tang yum chenpo nga ne jupe ne samo yang taba yi no te yang nyam yung yupe mi ga shik ma to pa cha ngimpe ne ro tel ka we te tara chatang da tel ma tum na wang po tame yang tha dikchen tu tabu namla kyab jobe do pa ne yang sedek ming ne pala dige jo to ke rigi pu kyongal go dam ma she sing chagdang tel motubna kongge nawa te nam khangshir yang kyo kunjo sumgi chayne jo chen kyabzu robar keshik tukje chimala sowa topche go ken la tena robar keshik parto ngo shibur keshik shulki nyewa dang pu dang pumu dang nyitila changshen pongshik di namki mipeno mi yu ngombo dang lai yu garbala shukshik rinpoche kangzang dang kimu selto shukshik che len dunge parto she to tene yang sangye dang che yu sima namla sowa dibar chawo parto jikyo madang pardo tsatsik dang pardo changzho nam len dungi pardo labar chao tene takzho pungpo rangzho yang zhata la sewa labar chao chuzho pacha rangzho yang labar chao tetar suljindu chepe naljo rupa tokpa towa nam ni chika topa tepne pardo dimmigu par yargi zangte chimbo zhobar gyoro te o ma nyamne yope kansa gajik ni chike pardo o tu chungis sel ngosin te yarki sante to gyoro te omanam ni chunyi parto la sha dun cha rinpa jindu shito nangwa sharwe se le cho tang wangpo she cha ge chigla ma cho na yang chigla cho de chang rinpa mangwe kangrung chigla ngosin ne chobar gyoro te tar ye le cho shenpa tang dikdip chewa tang lengin chewa namni yang man la sibe partur kyam go te yang ngu chu chik te yang ngu chu chik mi chik ke rinpa tar tu yu be chigla ngu mar kyan yang chigla ngu chu tu chobar gyoro te yang kongma nam le te yang kongma nam le chu chitar shenpa nam ngu mar be chik cha ke wang tu sona yang ngal go tempe tampa la rik mi chikpa rinpa shindu yobe chikla ngu ma sena chikla ngu chote mikpa sine ne towe yunden pa do me pa yuto tame yang ta tudro tabo chik inang kyabro chebe yunden ki ngen son ne rulo ne milyo rinpo che la tajur pusum sobe lu su gyu ne kiwa chima la lama giwe shingi na jete tamba tun choba yuro sipa pardo la cho di lepne sambo legi chola tobe yurawa chepa la wazupa tepe damba yinpe dikpo che tamche kyang cho di tene chowar misi to te chi chirjina pardo kapsi gyawa tamche ke tukje suma yopa tang du tang parche ki suma nika domne yoto pardo kapsi gyawa tamche ke tukje suma yopa tang du tang parche ki suma nika domne yoto te tu chudi tobazimgi nangwa gyurne chowa topo te yang shatraga lu mayinpa yiki lu yinpe gyur lawa yino partoro ta ringkara kyamne yo kyang leki ngushi chamme tongwa tang tene yongde tempe zena kijigla lu gyurdo tobe dishindu penjo pena gyopara chunguro tapuru dungwa chimbo mike matek pa churu chupe yuzam chigla kar dobe sar chombadan rao ta khasab yu gyurwadan rao dechir sede tamchigi tsar chine royu na choke royu tsar chine napu ne cha chu sar madungi partu kyarjing selde barchao te partu ro migul barchao di tamsik tu shimpola ngoyne simchige so mechu roesa rangje suyang rungde nyeshe namgi nguja dang kucho dang nyangin dang menga medu gewe le drup sangche shenyang pardo tucho chimu chodi chugi rik kar sungyang rungde tiki shabsu di dane tena shindu zabo shenyang ta tu di dumbar chajing sik dang tangi lola jangwala namchi pardongi be se chita nam ngo shine kam ki chona rangi dunjing sik dun yila sam ma chona chiro la pe lo tu chul shing sel te bengi patruwa tesumedo gumruk cha mi go be chu te be truwa te be truwa la be truwa namba samo de pochi sangnam la te be damwa namba samo di ki te kyang sikdang Tanya Maje Perchene, Chigar Sangi Bemenga, Dusum Sangi Tamjiki, Dile Happy Chu, Ni Misito, Pardo Dampa Lucian Dowarche, Pardo Turishin Busheva, Zape, Ninkurzoso, Terton Karma Lingpa, Gumbo Darke, when it ringetene, then Dambo Trashi. Okay. So now you got the part of the total transmission, and so now this is the bardo becoming. So Chika bardo, the bardo of dying, Chungi bardo, bardo of dharmata, and Sipa bardo of future becoming. So those are all now I've given the transmission, and this is what you will read. Great benefit to get accustomed to this practice. And then especially when someone close to you die, then you should set up the shrine and then read that for as much as you can during the next 49 days. Even the person's body is cremated, then you sit on their bed or the place where they usually sit, and they call their names. Of course, first you set up a shrine, call the names, and then you read this from, especially like out of 49 days, there are 7 weeks. So each day, the day when they die, so if you can read that on those days, it's very beneficial. And of course, if you can read more, it's all the more benefit. And also for yourself also, how you should, read that and get accustomed to that. So when the death comes, as I said, it will become 9 times more clear and vivid to you at that time. And so all this experience you will recognize and you will find liberation. Extremely profound. Even someone who has not done much practice, they can find liberation. Even for someone who has done 5 heinous crimes, for that person can also find liberation. So it's extremely profound Dharma. This one is by Padmasambhava, discovered the Terton was Karma Lingpa, and so I'm very happy to give this transmission, and so wonderful. Let's dedicate the merit. Sonamdi tamje zikpani, topne nyepe, dhanam pamchini, kegana che balang trupadi, sipe sole dovara shu. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, thus defeat the neurosis
and negative actions which are the enemies. From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you. So now in this, there is some other parts in the Bardo teaching about the signs of death when it comes. What kind of signs that you will experience before death comes? Certain signs come about death like a year before, or months before, or days before. So it mentioned all those things, and that I will teach some other time. There's some more to teach in this Bardo teaching. So I think for the timing, this is fine. Now you have the transmission to read that. And so then some others I will give in the future. Okay. Thank you.